My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Ontario police are pacing back and forth, flying west and now flying east, crossing path again with the people of the state, who are monitoring in concert. If you're paying attention to the images that I'm taking as well, the people of the state are pacing on foot on the sidewalk, maintaining activity creation, gang stalking with the entity that's maintaining aerial surveillance, gang stalking by planes. And Ontario Police is gang stalking. This is 2:17 a.m. using helicopter crossing path. They're engaged in ongoing surveillance, the people of the state, but they're also doing so with an impossible light across the sidewalk while that demon crosses path, and that's the Ontario Police Department's disbanding. They're group stalking at 2 o'clock in the morning with the people of the state and stalking a woman. And this is crossing a path in engineered light. Okay, those are perpendicular shadows. That's a stalker monitoring with the police. But they're maintaining surveillance. The people of the state that are stalking are the people of the state are maintaining pedestrian traffic right here. Heavy pedestrian traffic tonight. The entity is gang stalking, and I'm just documenting all of the methods. This isn't jogging and aerobics at 2 in the morning. It's crossing a path with the entity, which is in perpendicular shadows when you're gang stalking with the police, who are engaging in what is pacing. So they're flying over once and they flew over again. And because I'm recording, they're flying off. But for recording, continuously pacing and remaining over around me. But it's 2 o'clock in the morning. The Ontario Police gang stalking, 2:18 in particular, and the Ontario Police flying west and then flying east over. Impossible light activity accompanying the people of the state that are gang stalking by driving in relevant position also on G Street, which is the street that I'm at right now. It is again 2:18 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is the fake moon. This is the fake moon right here, and this the same street where I'm documenting the fake sun that's over me. And this is also Woodside Senior Apartments right here, where I've documented already the sunrise and the sunset, which is at Tracy Banks' apartment, not along G Street. Tracy Banks' apartment is along, it's north. So the fake sun would rise and set over her apartment, which is north of this location. The entity is maintaining this center of the universe around where I'm at, which is where the stalking by helicopter and planes is occurring. Okay? This is P.O.C. This is demonic pacing at 2 in the morning, 2:19 a.m. in the morning, and the Ontario Police is engaging in what is ongoing stalking via helicopter activity. This is P.O.C. Show you the light activity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's not caused by building lights. Those are demons, and they're stalking in helicopter at 2 o'clock in the morning, engaging in violence against women. This is what the Ontario Police Department is built upon. They're engaged in criminal surveillance. So these are stalkers, and they worship Satan. They're demon-possessed. They're not just criminals, they're demon-possessed criminals. And they practice demonic activity as a means of terrorism. And they engage in psychological torture, which is, again, their demon possession. It's speaking to their demonic practices, such as pacing, such as stalking and impossible light activity, such as engaging in sharing in the demonic practice with the people of the state, and doing it in the demonic environment. Doing so in an environment that defies nature, where the fake sun and at night a fake moon remains over me, as though I am the center of the universe, and to the demon possessed I am. And it is illustrated in that environment that defies nature. This is P.O.C. Impossible light activity. This is P.O.C. That's light activity that they're maintaining at Vine and G Street. Stalking in the path with light and the engineered light while the demons are pacing in helicopter. This is P.O.C. This is group conduct by the entity that's gang stalking. 2 o'clock in the morning. 2:20 a.m. It is June 18th, 2025. It's 2:21 a.m. and the video you just listened to is coexisting with light activity in the specific environment in concert with the entity, the government, that's gang stalking directly. These are all of the symptoms of gang stalking, which 717 North Vine Avenue is engaging in criminally facilitating the pattern of conduct. 717 North Vine Avenue is where the people of the state engaged in what is stripping my vehicle, my Toyota Camry in 2019, and the Ontario Police Department then stealing it. 717 is North Vine Avenue is gang stalking with the method of flashing of light in the path while the Ontario Police are pacing by helicopter, and that's the same entity that engaged in what is violating, damaging my personal property while I was kidnapped by the same Ontario Police that's gang stalking in helicopter at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then engaging in what is theft of my vehicle with the people of the state, which was Bill and Wags. It's the people of the state at 717 North Vine Avenue that are stalking with light activity in concert with the Ontario Police that are pacing. And it's that same criminal cooperation that is the reason for the inevitable disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, who are at 2 o'clock in the morning in the specific environment, clearly stalking me. And it is in conformity to a very well documented pattern of conduct. And the entity that is stalking, which is the Ontario Police in concert with the people of the state at 717 North Vine Avenue, while the people of the state are pacing on G Street, while the fake moon is over me at G Street. Remember, when I'm inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, the fake moon is north of my location right now, and it's over her apartment, which is where the entity is stalking and flying in circles over me at her apartment, flying over her apartment building. The entity is focusing on me, and the environment is showing focus on me. And at Courtyard Vias, at Vine and G Street, and what is 717 North Vine Avenue, documented gang stalkers, also the fake sun over me on October 2nd, 2019. I'm documenting the fake sun in the morning when I'm documenting the license plates of the people of the state at 717 North Vine Avenue, who are gang stalking right now with the Ontario Police Department, and they have engaged in what is theft of my vehicle with the Ontario Police Department. It is this same community that's gang stalking at 2 o'clock in the morning with this police department that is gang stalking me at 2 o'clock in the morning, and doing so while this community and this gang stalking demon-possessed police department is aware and is also keeping this evidence under surveillance and are still stalking in violation of what are my constitutional and human rights. And this is why Mike Lorenz and every demon that is working for the Ontario Police are done with law enforcement, and it's being disbanded. And those kidnappers, Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, L. Martinez, and C. Torres, those 4 demons that are on video gang stalking, they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. It is currently Wednesday, June 18, 2025. The gang stalking by the police department is shared by the people of the state. And as the people of the state exhibit demon possession, engage in monitoring in this specific environment, the Ontario Police Department is engaging in it. And it is evidence against the government that is going to be disbanded. And they are going to federal prison for committing kidnapping, like I documented on May 29th, 2025. This is P.O.C. Ontario Fire, gang stalking by helicopter. It is 2:42 a.m. This is indeed P.O.C. Stalking evident in the environment under the fake moon. This is G Street in concert with the people of the state who are gang stalking. This is 325 West G Street, gang stalking. 323 West G Street in Ontario, California, gang stalking. 630 North Fern Avenue in Ontario, California, gang stalking. The entity is gang stalking. The 7-Eleven at 636 North Vine Avenue is gang stalking, where the entity is concentrating helicopter activity, engaging in psychological torture and domestic terrorism in concert with the people of the state who are pacing in this environment via traffic. Euclid Avenue on G Street, the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring, and the demons are exhibiting mental illness while they're pacing in helicopters, as I have a body of evidence that is dozens and dozens of videos of the Ontario Police Department and the Los Angeles Police Department gang stalking me in the specific environment, flying in circles, following me around in helicopter. 1 a.m. and the people of the state at 717 North Vine Avenue are sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring, maintaining a vehicle with a method of flashing light activity. That's criminal conduct. That's at Vine Avenue and G Street, where the Ontario Police are relying on the criminal engagement in the elements of monitoring in concert with the people of the state. In other words, this is the same thing they're doing at Starbucks while the fake sun remains over the Starbucks for 11 hours. And the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking there as well. This is the entity that is. This is 2 o'clock in the morning, gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department. And this is what they're doing at Woodside Senior Apartments, gang stalking at the Ontario Police Department when Tracy Banks summons them there, pursuant to criminal monitoring. And this criminal monitoring is pursuant to ongoing real-time, ceaseless knowledge about everything that's happening and everything that happened inside of Tracy Banks' apartment on May 29th, 2025, when Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police Department share in making false and malicious assertions about physical violence that the demons of the Ontario Police Department know didn't happen, and that Tracy Banks knows did not happen. And this is why they're going to federal prison while they're gang stalking as police officers, engaging in kidnapping. And this criminal monitoring system is what is relevant to that kidnapping, and it's relevant to what the state of California is practicing, which is criminal surveillance. All right, it is, this is the Ontario, this is Ontario at G Street and Fern, where the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance. There's no planes taking off over here. The entity is maintaining heavy aerial surveillance over me as well. And I've been documenting this since 2018, before the Ontario Police Department engaged in gang stalking at a level that is unprecedented, such that they're going to be disbanded for kidnapping upon gang stalking. But the Pomona Police Department, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in 2018 engaged in what is gang stalking me as the entity was maintaining heavy plane activity. No amplified plane activity. It was merely a group of planes that flew over me, following me while I was in my vehicle in Pomona, California. And the entity would maintain a group of planes flying over me, maintain patrolling by airplanes over me while the people of the state were gang stalking. And this is where I'm capturing the people of the state in 2018. I'm showing you the pattern with the fake sun over me. And the entity, as I come to Ontario, is where the entity is engaging in what is the gang stalking by helicopters that are amplified in volume, flying at low elevation over my head, making its presence obvious. But this pattern of conduct is shared well beyond the Ontario Police Department. The Ontario Police are going to be disbanded and going to federal prison for kidnapping upon federal group stalking and monitoring, which no police department is going to survive that. And the entity is engaging in what is gang stalking at 2 o'clock in the morning, replete with the fake moon and engineered light. And the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance in planes and helicopters. So I've been taking pictures of the entity stalking by planes. And like I stated, the Ontario Police are not the only actor. The entity has stolen evidence with regard to other police departments engaging in targeting me. And the prosecution of the state is not going to be centered on the Ontario Police Department. The Ontario Police Department are the most unintelligent and heavily documented besides the Los Angeles Police Department. These are not the only two police departments documented gang stalking me and documented gang stalking me using helicopters in the specific environment. And my documentation, even in 2024, establishes that, but this is even before 2024. Ontario Police is stalking in concert with the people of the state at 2:47 a.m. and doing so in the specific environment. All right, these multiple shadows, this is speaking to what is light activity, and doing so while the people of the state are maintaining relevant positioning and light activity. And it is shared with those that are at 717 North Vine Avenue, stalking with a method of flashing light. This is P.O.C. This is the Ontario Police stalking, flying in circles. All right, this is going on the playlist not only for criminal surveillance by the police, but exhibiting mental illness while they're engaging in their ritualistic conduct of flying in circles. This is what the demon-possessed do. Pace all around me, and in the helicopters, the entity is engaging with flying in circles around me when they are gang stalking, as I captured on video. And the wealth of evidence is also speaking to what is no mistake about the fact that the police are stalking me specifically, engaging in a system of criminal surveillance with the people of the state. Okay, that's impossible light that you see while the people of the state are crossing path in a vehicle. All right, that impossible light that's swiping on the sidewalk, that's not headlights. And it's also not sunlight when they're at Starbucks and impossible light is swimming on the inside of the Starbucks venue. And the walls of light where my shadow is upright inside of that venue, that's not headlights, it's not sunlight either. The entity is gang stalking, that's impossible light activity, while a demon is stalking in the path. Gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, and they're exhibiting demon possession, pacing around me in helicopter, pacing on the roads and the highways with impossible light. These are demons who are stalking a woman together. These are the demon possessed who are mentally ill. All right, it is 2:48 a.m. where the demon possessed are engaging in the identical pattern of conduct during the day under the fake sun, which remains over me all day long, of conduct. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. The demons with the name Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, C. Torres, and L. Martinez, those demons are going to federal prison for gang stalking with the people of the state. These demons who are stalking with light, engaging in what is summoning the gang stalking police department, where they commit kidnapping. And that's why criminal summoning shall be a recognized federal offense that the people of the state go to federal prison for. Tracy Banks engages in this in concert with the people of the state of Woodside, and the Ontario Police engage in what is kidnapping. And they're going to prison for it. It is 2:48 9 a.m., where the Ontario Police is stalking me in concert with the people of the state. And that clear engagement in stalking me in particular is already proven in a body of evidence where it's impossible that I would have this volume of evidence of presence of the police department using helicopters, in addition to being in a specific environment that defies nature. This is the specificity of the documentation showing that the Ontario Police Department and the people of the state are stalking me specifically. And they also engage in kidnapping when they're engaging in this. P.O.C. All right, the Ontario Police Department in the video that you just listened to are engaging in what is pacing, demonic pacing. This is relevant to the evidence that I've been maintaining in my investigation of the U.S. government, that is gang stalking via the demon possessed in the state of California. And so that's what's underway in the city of Ontario. These are demons who are engaging in what is a satanic targeting system, but it's government conduct, and that's how you're prosecuting for federal group stalking, monitoring, and criminal surveillance by the government, lacking any constitutional authority under the state and federal constitutions. And there is no existing authority for a government to engage in surveillance that is gang stalking, satanic targeting with the people of the state, like the government in California is doing, like the city of Ontario is doing. And that's relevant to the video that you just listened to. And in addition, what you hear me narrating, what you'll see on video, is the Ontario police are also exhibiting demon possession while they commence to pacing. And pacing is conducted in the helicopter by flying in a giant circle, which is a very heavily documented pattern. Not only the stalking conduct and everywhere that I'm going in helicopter, which is also unmistakable because it's occurring in the specific environment in helicopter, which is shared by multiple police departments in the specific environment by helicopter. But the demons engage in what are pacing in helicopter, flying in circles around me. Very demonic, and it's exhibiting mental illness that is no longer hidden from the average onlooker. You can look and you are able to literally recognize mental illness by that stalking conduct in helicopter. It's an extraordinary and spectacular means of stalking and trying to terrorize, that is, scare the living daylights out of someone that is ordinarily suffering in silence, surrounded by the demon possessed who are targeting as well. In the circus environment, and you do not have anybody to report that to. That is inherently designed to psychologically torture, and it is a body of evidence against the Ontario Police Department, who did commit kidnapping on May 29, 2025, in conformity to a documented pattern of conduct of repeatedly kidnapping while waging false allegations and stalking me as a police department, which is why they are being disbanded. In particular, like I stated, because these 4 demons are going to federal prison, in addition to Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, and this is relevant with regard to the people of the state beyond these 2, but these 2 in particular are interested third parties who have committed the federal offenses of criminally acquiring conservatorship, a secret means through defamation and gang stalking with the state and fraud, and acquiring a criminal means of a secret marriage with me that I know nothing about, that I didn't participate in, that's not valid, it's not legal, while they're gang stalking me, while I am being defamed and acquiring it by fraud. That's why the people of the state are subject to federal prison, and they're also subject to federal prison because you acquire such things over the targeted individual in anticipation of murder and kidnapping, which is relevant to the kidnapping that the Ontario police commit while they are still gang stalking. And I'm maintaining literally a playlist since this kidnapping that ended on June 3rd is underway, and the entity is at 40 videos deep with regard to documenting daily and nightly stalking by helicopter by the Ontario Police Department. And that is just the helicopter activity and the Ontario Police Department, because the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Fire Department, the American Medical Response are gang stalking as well, following the release from kidnapping by the entity. All right, so that's what you just listened to. It's currently 2:53 a.m. where the entity is maintaining ongoing aerial surveillance. It's the puppets of the Ontario Police Department that are engaging in what is amplified helicopter activity, and the puppets of the Ontario International Airport that are maintaining amplified plane activity. The entity is maintaining aerial surveillance by planes that are maintaining presence in the sky space above me. And I've been documenting this early in 2018, 2019, maintaining aerial surveillance by just flying in the sky, hovering in the sky space, remaining stationary while other planes are patrolling, and while demons like the Ontario police, who are they're the low-hanging fruit. They're the puppets. They literally go go and do the bidding, and they're the unintelligent demons that go and do the handiwork of gang stalking, while the U.S. government is the one that's using the gang stalkers in California, for example. This is the U.S. government's pattern of conduct, and the entity is maintaining plain activity while these demons are pacing around me. This is the prosecution. I'm going to prosecute the police department, the people of the state, but this is the U.S. government, and I'm going to prosecute for the inhumane system of federal group stalking and monitoring, which the U.S. government is doing throughout this country. And you know that because you have a fake sun in whatever state, not just one. You have but a light source. The specific environment is around you, because while I document what is impossible, and since there's only one sun, I'm documenting the impossible while the sun is over Starbucks. While Corey Watson of the Ontario Police Department is there at 6:33 a.m. on video, and as it's still there as I leave that venue at 12:51 p.m., you have the specific environment around you in Florida, because the sun that's remaining over Starbucks is not over you in Florida, anywhere in Florida. And for you to be in northern Florida and in southern Florida, you're looking at more than one light source. Just giving you an example as to how this demonic environment that we are surrounded by is showing what is the surveillance system that is underway in that environment that defies nature. It is contradictory. It's directly opposite of the way in which we have been told that the natural environment operates. And in this environment, under a fake sun and amongst impossible light activity, criminal surveillance by the government in concert with the people of the state is underway. And the unintelligent demons of the Ontario Police Department have provided a tutorial as to how the gang stalking by corrupt law enforcement agencies is executed in the United States. And the demon-possessed the unintelligent demons of corrupt law enforcement agencies, they're merely the puppets that engage in this conduct on behalf of what is the U.S. government that's engaging in surveillance in this country. All right. It is, again, a federal offense. It's not just going to be the city of Ontario that's being prosecuted, and it's not just going to be the demons of the city of Ontario gang stalking. Obviously, my documentation goes from state to state, by the way, from California to Nevada. It includes federal stalking. It's already a federal level, and the entity is engaging in what is gang stalking in concert with the states, and it's a federal a federal system. The United States government is gang stalking in this country, where criminal surveillance is underway, which is evident through an environment that defies nature. I am documenting on an ongoing basis the fake sun all day, and at night the fake moon, where the entity is engaging in what is harassing me by planes and helicopters. And that's speaking to the demonic environment where criminal targeting is underway by the demon possessed. And that environment is not going to be shared with anybody in another state, not even in another city or county, because the entity that is demon possessed is very highly unintelligent, and it is exclusive with regard to the moon possibly being seen by anybody else while it's over my head, and I'm showing you where the entity is targeting me in that environment. And it's the same analysis with the fake sun all day long. It is currently 2:57 a.m. where the entity is maintaining both plane and helicopter activity. And it's all going toward what is the immediate result is federal prison for the gang stalkers on May 29, 2025. That's the immediate result. But the entity is gang stalking as a statewide effort, and the entity is going to be prosecuted as a corrupt entity. The state of California is engaged in criminal surveillance, and I have not consented to that. And in addition, the entity is gang stalking me in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, while demons like Tracy Banks maintain a criminally acquired means of a secret conservatorship that this same gang stalking state provided Tracy Banks. The state that's gang stalking me has aided her in providing a secret conservatorship over me, while the government is gang stalking and using it as a means to defame me, while the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct. And that's the basis of federal prison. It's also a system that's underway in this country. It happens to celebrities. It happens to people that are being targeted and doing so for purposes of stealing, theft, property that belongs to you. And Tracy Banks and the state of California seeking to steal real, personal, and intellectual property, all of which they're not stealing, and they're going to hand over with interest everything that the entity has already stolen, and they're going to hand over that which the entity is maintaining control over that has never been given to me, tried to keep it from me, tried to gang stalk me into a grave and gang stalk me into a facility in order to avoid handing it over to me. And the unintelligent puppets of the Ontario Police Department are going to federal prison for it. Kidnapping in furtherance of this corrupt and criminal means of this conservatorship, which Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are interested parties in. In doing so, in furtherance of that, that's merely a motivation. The entity is engaging in this because they are demon possessed. This is the conduct of the dead. This is satanic. It is demonic activity, but they do have corrupt and criminal means and motivation immediate motivations of the demon-possessed that are targeting. It is currently 2:59 a.m. on Wednesday, June 18, 2025, where the Ontario police are gang stalking a woman in concert with the population, the people of the state, gang stalking a woman together in furtherance of murder and kidnapping and psychological torture at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. All right, this is P.O.C. All right, the images that you are looking at that I captured of the light activity at Fern Avenue and G Street, this is the entity that is monitoring my device. You can see the light activity across the white gate. I believe that is 413 West G Street at Fern Avenue and G Street. It's in relevant position to where I'm at, in between 630 North Fern Avenue and 325 West G Street at this intersection right here, Fern and G. This is where a demon is stalking in the path, maintaining light activity at the moment that I'm engaged in activity on my device, which includes removing an application from my phone. That operation of my device, which is a new act, if you will, as I engage in it, the people of the state are crossing path with simultaneity. Driving by is stalking. It's called relevant positioning. The demons are they are crossing path and stalking in the path by maintaining this light activity in the street, and that's what I take a picture of. And as I take a picture of that, the demons of the Ontario police, who do not go anywhere because with simultaneity, they begin sounding helicopter activity. And this is concerted conduct with regard to the elements of monitoring audible activity by the police and light activity with simultaneity to the operation of my device as I'm removing applications from my phone. For space purposes. And as I do this, this is pursuant to monitoring and surveillance that's underway on my communication device. This is a violation of federal stalking statute, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. It's pursuant to surveillance, and it's criminal monitoring that the people of the state are sharing with the gang stalkers, who are the Ontario Police Department. That's the state acting directly. And this light activity is created by the people of the state. That is the state action that is committed vicariously, and it's the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department. It's the criminal conduct of the people of the state, but it's the criminal conduct of the government and the Ontario Police Department gang stalking by helicopter at the same time that the people of the state are aiding with light activity in the path with simultaneity to my operation of my device is pursuant to the P.O.C. of criminal monitoring on my device in the specific environment under the fake moon, where the Ontario police are engaging in pacing and flying in circles over me, and they're also monitoring my device. And so that's relevant to the images that I just took. And the entity is doing so while it is still gang stalking. Like I said, when I'm capturing video and the demons fly out of the line of vision, the Ontario police are not leaving from relevant positioning. They're stalking, and they engage in what is a perceptible means of stalking, which is what is in my body of evidence, helicopter activity, remaining around me, following me around by helicopter, as the helicopter is a means of audible activity, as the helicopter is a means of relevant positioning, flying, crossing path, flying in circles over me, repeatedly flying over, which is patrolling, doing so in that specific environment where you're recognizing who is being targeting, as opposed to the absence of demons who are in a natural environment. And you may have what is helicopters that fly in the sky space. That's not what's going on. The entity is clearly stalking the targeted individual, and that targeted individual is identified by the fake sun being over them for the duration of the day, and the fake moon also at night, and the engineered light, where you have impossible light activity, which is also present during the day. What the entity is doing with impossible light, ricocheting and flashing of light, like there's some photo shoot going on, but there's no photo shoot, there's no cameras. The entity is engaging in stalking with light pursuant to criminal monitoring. And that's what the people of the state are doing at Fern and G with regard to my operation of my device, the simultaneity of light activity, which I take a picture of, and the helicopter activity flying over. It's the entity, the same people of the state. This is what the people of the state are doing at 717 North Vine Avenue with flashing of light using a vehicle at the intersection of Vine and G Street, while the Ontario police are pacing in a helicopter over me in the specific environment, the fake moon above me, the engineer light, my multiple shadows surround. It's the same exact pattern of conduct shared by the people of the state. It is currently 3:09 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, the people of the state are gang stalking as I'm capturing in video. So this is documentation regarding the people of the state in relevant position that are criminally monitoring, engaging in psychological torture, engaging in what is harassment, domestic terrorism, and also engaging in what is the perpetual sex offense while they are molesting with impossible light. And they're also acting with the intolerable level, the unlawful action of gang stalking with impunity, which is relevant to the prosecution of the entity, and malice. And doing so, in other words, continuously engaging in what is threatening your life, your safety, your well-being, while they are keeping the evidence of their stalking, which they are aware of, under surveillance. 6JPT 993. And I've documented on video. I'm going to capture again 5MVM 616. She is still gang stalking with the Ontario Police and doing so with the people of the state. Doing so while I am documenting that P.O.C. license 8SPL 710. Captured on video, documenting because he's still gang stalking with the entity and the people of the state. 9NJB 782. A license 9NOC 488. And by the way, it is currently 3:14 a.m. where the people of the state are gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario International Airport, the City of Ontario in general that's maintaining the elements of monitoring around me at 320 West G Street, the TABOR professional building where the fake moon is over me, where impossible light is coating everything. This is why I have multiple shadows upright and all flat around the ground where the entity is gang stalking in concert with the people of the state. License 7PAF 963. License 9MVY 052. This is the people of the state at 325 West G Street. Documented her a pattern of gang stalking in concert with her minor children. She's on video, this gang stalking family on video for years. License 6YOX 838. Years engagement in federal stalking and gang stalking with the City of Ontario. 24490K1. License 6W53229. 9HTF 326. 7XPL 229. 6XXT 119. License 7WON 118. License plate 4LTC 526. License 22547T1. That's the people of the state in Unit 41. Documented gang stalking and where the entity kept the fake scent as a matter of documentation while I'm remaining inside of Tracy Banks' apartment from units 33 through 64. That is the demon that's residing in unit number 41 with that license plate. And this is the same. There's a license plate remaining in relevant position regarding the demons in unit number 41. License 9LJK101 and license 4. This is 4YFC245. All right, license plate. This is a paper plate. License EB17A07 on a white Mercedes, a white A-Class. Or no, is this a, sorry, this might be a, oh no, it is a Mercedes. License 9PSC 920. License 8RNT062. License 5CLC549. License 8RDR542. The entity that is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, that's wide awake, stalking with the people of the state that are pacing via traffic with impossible light activity occurring under the fake moon, are not sleeping. They're engaging in surveillance, and this is the documentation of the people of the state in relevant position. The government cannot gang stalk an American citizen without the people of the state engaging in federal stalking with them and the elements of monitoring. 7ZNS 965. 8RMH 738. This is Courtyard Villas Apartments at Vine and G Street. They are gang stalking the entire community. License 8NEM625, license 9SKN489. And they are, by the way, the entire time that I'm documenting the pattern of conduct as I remain at Woodside Senior Apartments. I am merely outside documenting it now. They're being prosecuted. They are documented the entire time that Woodside Senior Apartments is the facilitating venue where I remain. And they are gang stalking now. While the fake moon is not over Tracy Banks' apartment, it's over me at G Street, where I am more south of her apartment building. Okay, license 8SEA 753. G59821. The people of the state, they're over here gang stalking by residents, and they're gang stalking with the people of the state that are maintaining surveillance by traffic, harassing and surveilling with impossible light. The people of the state that I'm documenting, they're engaging in that criminal conduct as one. 7MBL111. License 6SHA113. License 8VKT389. This is Idaho K716904. License 8EGH414. License plate 8YTC005 6GBF185 6HKY477 DQTPY. Again, that's DQTPY. 7GTH578 7JSA932. And then people of the state maintaining light activity at the end of this street. That's how you know that these demons are gang stalking, and but you already know that the entity is ceaselessly gang stalking. But a demon maintaining light activity in the path, the demons know that they're being documented in real time. 07308B4, 06869A4, 8XAJ002, 03592A4. And this is the same F Street where the Ontario Police Department on June 3rd, 2025 flew directly over the top of my head, targeting me as I left the Starbucks at 8 p.m. where they flew over in circles repeatedly upon my exit of that Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard. And that is following from place to place from the Starbucks in the specific environment to what is this F Street where the people of the state, I'm in front of the people of the state, I'm in front of the venue of the people of the state. None of these are private residences. The criminal surveillance system is underway by the state through the people, and your address is a facilitating venue, especially when I document the fake moon over me at your address, the entity gang stalking me by the government at your address, the entity maintaining the engineer light at your address. And this is what's on video on June 3rd on this street. They're all gang stalking. License 3WVB083. 5FJU394. Five GCP823. 6DIT 768. Oh, let me get this really quick. 5 ULP 629. Stalking in the path, maintaining light. 7 END 326. It's not traffic at 3 in the morning. They're stalking in the path, maintaining light while they're being documented. So this is the stalker still stalking while it's being documented for stalking. License 9 CEB 722. 9 TFH 790. 8 GYP 834. 7 NYF 576. It's 3:24 a.m. EB83N68. That's a paper plate on a white Tesla, which I documented stalking with light in the path nights ago, anticipating my arrival, engaging in the customary lying in wait behavior. And as I come into the path where they are gang stalking me, this is light activity that third party is making. This is in the alley at Carriage Alley. I don't see the street. Oh no, I believe it's Carriage Valley, I believe. But this is Vine, and the nearest intersection at the 7-Eleven is G Street. This is license plate 91744L1 8MJX 181. These are the people of the state that are gang stalking with the entity that's patrolling on G Street with the impossible light activity. While I have the multiple shadows, all of that environment is relevant, and it's there for the purposes of gang stalking, which the government is doing in planes and helicopters, and the government is doing in planes and helicopters with the people of the state whose license plate I'm reading, and more. I'm just getting those license plates, okay? It is currently 3:26 a.m. 636 North Vine Avenue is 7-Eleven. They're engaged in gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, maintaining aerial surveillance with the Ontario International Airport. This same patrolling entity is maintaining presence by the 7-Eleven, profiting from gang stalking, going to the 7-Eleven, making a purchase to engage in the elements of monitoring, to engage in what is loitering in the path, to engage in what is light activity creation, and doing so while 7-Eleven is making money from it as well. It's like sitting at Starbucks under the fake sun all day long, monitoring as a population. It is currently 3:26 a.m. This is P.O.C, documentation of the people of the state engaging in what is stalking me, harassing, and at 2:47 in the morning, 2:48 in the morning, while the entity is sharing in that engagement together. And the Woodside Senior Apartments complex is right here. I've documented very heavily this community. And Tracy Banks is a relevant position gang stalking right now. The entity is doing so while she's also documented gang stalking under the fake sun at her apartment, and then you're juxtaposing while she's gang stalking me at the Starbucks, which is the fake sun, evidence of a fake sun that's no longer over her apartment while she's targeting where she lives. All right, but this is how you're going to prosecute big picture level. At a macro level, you're understanding, and it's very, very plain. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted as the entity that it is. It is 3:27 a.m. It is currently 6:05 a.m. on June 18, 2025, and the people of the state, the same African-American gang stalking female driving the Camry and engineer light last night, monitoring with the Ontario International Airport that is hovering over 323 West G Street and 325 West G Street in Ontario, California, in order to gang stalk me with this third party who was simultaneously crossing path by parking in relevant position in engineered light. Just as a reminder, her license plate is 5MVM 616. She is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department. The entity gang stalking with the Ontario Fire Department and American Medical Response at Woodside Senior Apartments, where she resides, engaging in the pattern of conduct. And she also was committing these federal offenses under the fake moon and an engineer light, and she's doing the same this morning under the fake sun, where it's over the same street where I was documenting the pattern of conduct just a couple hours ago, because the entity was up at 2:47, 2:48. 3 o'clock, gang stalking in helicopter and airplanes. The entity is at the same street. This is where the fake sun is rising. And at 0.8 miles away, that's less than a mile, that's around the corner, literally. At 507 North Euclid Avenue is where the entity has the fake sun setting. Remember, at 7:26 p.m. through the drive-through window of that Starbucks, where Corey Watson is gang stalking at 6:33 a.m. Less than a quarter of this is 0.8 miles. This is where the entity also has the fake sunset. And I've also documented it because it's being seen through the drive-through window of Starbucks is not over units 33 through 64. The entity is maintaining the fake sun where it is that I remain, and where that is occurring is where the government is gang stalking in planes and in helicopters and fire trucks and ambulances and in police vehicles. It is the City of Ontario's criminal pattern of conduct, and they are the demon-possessed in that demonic environment where the sunrise and the sunset happen at the same address. The demon-possessed are gang stalking, and that's what the Ontario Police Department are engaging in at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 10 and 11 o'clock last night. And what the people of the state are doing on a ceaseless basis as the residents of the City of Ontario, the people of the state traveling through the City of Ontario. It's the state of California's criminal pattern of conduct. And this is indeed where you will see license 5MVM616 stalking in the path and operation of her vehicle, which is activity creation, light activity, audible activity as she uses the ignition, also relevant positioning while she's in it in alignment to me, while the City of Ontario utilizes plane activity as a means of monitoring in concert with her while she's in close proximity to me. And as you'll see in the images captured at around 6 a.m., it's 6:09 a.m., so those images are captured at around 6:03, 6:04 a.m., and you'll see engineered light all over 325 West G Street, 323 West G Street. The entity is gang stalking where the fake sun is in alignment to me. And this is where the fake sun remains all day long in alignment to me, which is not the shared experience by this third-party license 5MVM616. She's a demon, and as she leaves from my presence, the fake sun remains in alignment to me while she departs, and that fake sun doesn't remain floating over the top of her vehicle in alignment to her vehicle like I document when I am in motion on any means of transportation. The Metrolink, my vehicle, Tracy Banks's vehicle, Omnitrans. The entities engage in the pattern of conduct of stalking under a fake sun, which is how you're recognizing a population stalking one person together, and it is demonic, and it's also criminal and inhumane. Government action. It is currently 6:10 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 320 West G Street, where the fake sun is rising and where the people of the state are gang stalking while Engineer Light is coding their facilitating venues. They don't live in private properties where the government is gang stalking with them. They're all in facilitating venues, and they are all 100% fully exposed to a federal prosecution. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 6:13 a.m. And I'm capturing the fake sun you'll see in alignment to me as I'm standing at 320 West G Street. That's the TABOR professional building. And again, the entity is keeping the fake sun where I'm located. So that's why you see it on the side of the street that it is at this early time. And this is how you get a sunrise in alignment to me in Los Angeles at my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6 on the 3rd floor facing the hillside, where the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles International Airport are documented gang stalking using planes and helicopters, and that's where the people of the state are gang stalking by residents at Alvarado Gardens, where the sun both rose and set in alignment to my bedroom and living room window. That's how you get that, because the entity is stalking with a fake sun. It's the hallmark, and that is what is tying together the entirety of the pattern of conduct, a consistent body of evidence. While it is shown to be the pattern of conduct because of the impossibility of the sun maintaining the positions that I documented, and the ongoing pattern by the police stalking me in helicopters in that irreconcilable environment that is the pattern of conduct. And this is where the entity also has the fake sun. While I'm standing at 320 West G Street, the entity is still in a position where it's not going to be reflecting off of Tracy Banks's the apartment window of units 33 through 48, like you see at 6:33 a.m. And it's only at that position because that's where I'm standing on G Street. Remember, the fake sun is reflecting off of units 33 through 64 that are north of G Street. The entity is keeping that fake sun in alignment to me on G Street because that's where I'm located. That's the whole purpose of documenting it. The entity is gang stalking at the 7-Eleven, clearly, because this is where I am documenting the fake sun, license 9HDT332, on surveillance cameras at 6:15 a.m., engaging the P.O.C. of the people of the state, going to public venues, facilitating venues, making purchases, gang stalking with the government. And those businesses are also going to be prosecuted. It is currently, again, 6:15 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, it is currently 6:17 a.m. and what I'm documenting, understanding this is gang stalking, I'm documenting an entity following me, stalking me from place to place. This is the significance of the pattern of conduct, license 7ETC122. Excuse me. This is documentation of an entity stalking, and license 8U17904. P.O.C. This is audible activity while I walk around in the store, use of communication devices, Title 18 federal stalking. And the demon-possessed entering into, engaging in surveillance with the state. This is the same Ontario police that's filling the 7-Eleven, stalking in the path, stalking with noise, stalking under the fake sun that remains where I go. And this is documentation of the entity stalking from place to place, which is the substance of all of my podcast documentation, which will prosecute the state of California, including those that are given the privilege to be in this country, because they're going to be deported. It is currently 6:18 a.m. (7CWY832) (8SZD065). With impossible light activity 8U17904. And this is the same population that was gang stalking at 2, 3, and 4 o'clock in the morning with the city of Ontario. And now they're up under the fake sun gang stalking, license 9NXN331, driving through engineer light that's floating through the air. So engineer light that appears as engineer light on the side of the door. As opposed to being inside of the building and engineer light flying inside of the building, engineer light is seen appearing on the vehicle while she's crossing path with me. It's impossible light speaking to that presence in this parking lot. License 55511G2. You have what is a criminal means of federal stalking. That is business. This is a delivery, if you will, to 7-Eleven, where they stalk in the path using their trucks. This is what the Ontario police is doing, engaging in gang stalking at the 7-Eleven while a delivery is underway. 52580Y3. Where I'm capturing that late night delivery, you saw my shadow, my upright magnified size shadow in the darkness at the opposite end of this same 7-Eleven at 66 North Vine Avenue in the middle of the night, 7MXM432. The entity is gang stalking in that specific environment. I am always showing you that specific environment that is present. None of this is happening in a natural environment. It is all pursuant to a P.O.C. that is maliciously underway that you're not supposed to be aware of. You're not supposed to pay attention to it. And it is demonic. They're demons that are engaging in this malicious conduct together, and it is exposing public corruption and every corrupt business. And that means every business that's doing business in California, including on the internet, is corrupt because they're engaged in criminal surveillance. 8CEA256. And this is documentation while the fake sun remains over me and the engineer light behavior follows as I go. because it's not a natural environment. This isn't even the sun of the natural environment. That's the evidence of a stalking entity. And the entity is doing so while the City of Ontario is maintaining a facilitating environment by following around with amplified plane, helicopter, and train. License 6L22808. And the fake sun is not over the building of units 33 through 64 while I am south of those buildings at Woodside. And the fake sun is on G Street in alignment to me at 636 North Vine Avenue. 822-52C4. P.O.C. It is currently, the current time is 6:26 a.m. License 40977S2 and R32VW. License W61870. And the Ontario Police Department gang stalking at the Chevron. And the Chevron is located in relevant position where you see them gang stalking at 11:54 a.m. the Ontario Police, while the fake sun remains at the same Starbucks. Ontario Police on a motorcycle is crossing path and aware that the demon-possessed that are gang stalking, they engage in this sort of conduct while you are simultaneously being monitored, the evidence as you're collecting it, and they engage in more crossing a path, they engage in more conduct, and specifically with the spectacular helicopter activity is what you document when the entity is engaging in that. The Chevron is located at the intersection of Euclid and E Street. This is where the Ontario Police are gang stalking on motorcycle, and that will be on surveillance cameras as well. License 7UUX973. I'm going to get the address of this Chevron. License 9EGS573 is engaged in federal stalking and gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. Yeah, we've got California exempt. Good morning. Are you West Covina or? Oh, you're California Highway Patrol, even better. Yeah. Let's go. All right, this is Impossible Light that's appearing while the people of the state are gang stalking with California Highway Patrol 3013133. California Highway Patrol, pay attention to that badge. Gang stalking. What do you need? And let me show you, that's audible activity. 9EGS573, 96964B4, and this is the fake sun at the Chevron. Remember, the Ontario Police are engaging in the same iteration of the pattern of conduct where I'm inside of the Starbucks. The people of the state are stalking with Impossible Light inside of that Starbucks. The entity's keeping the fake sun perfectly aligned with me inside of that Starbucks while engineer light fills the venue, and the people of the state stalking the path in this sort of manner. So I just go across the street to document the state actor. The Ontario Police Department, while the fake sun is across the street at 11:54 a.m. over me, over the top of my head, and I am at the same venue where they're stalking in the path, keeping their backs to me over here, like I documented on June 4, 2025, where demons like driving this Haas FT team vehicle have Impossible Light while they cross path, while they drive away. Those are the passive-aggressive psychopaths that are gang stalking while they don't say a word, but their light activity is a communication of an unlawful threat, as it's supernatural and it's accomplishing criminal monitoring with the California Highway Patrol, which the governor, who appoints the leader over the Department of the California Highway Patrol, is aware of the criminal conduct of the California Highway Patrol. California Highway Patrol gang stalking on the roads and the highways, engaging in federal stalking, and is gang stalking me, the evidence of what it's targeting, in perfect alignment with me, and doing so while I'm documenting the people of the state. That's P.O.C. And this is the fake sun that's still here at 11:54 a.m. like I document. That's CHP, and that's Impossible Light. That's a demon representing California Highway Patrol. That's P.O.C. Alrighty, and this is again the fake sun that is at 6:40 a.m. not going to be in alignment with my bedroom window, my living room window, in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, but that's exactly what I've documented. And the people of the state are gang stalking with all forms of law enforcement. These are the demons that are engaging in the corrupt system of gang stalking, evident through a fake sun that is still over this Starbucks, taking 6 hours to cross the street. Remember what Corey Watson is doing yesterday, gang stalking inside of the cafe. California Highway Patrol gang stalking in relevant position outside of the cafe across the street, where 6 hours from now, the fake sun is still at this Starbucks. 12 hours from now at 6:18 p.m., the fake sun is still over this Starbucks, where the Ontario Police, representing gang stalking law enforcement, corruption, are monitoring with the people of the state.
There's no accidents in the specific environment. They're stalking. That's light activity while their shadow is caused under the fake sun, while it remains over 507 North Euclid Avenue as late as 6:18 p.m. That's a psychopath on a motorcycle stating, what is it that you needed? That's audible activity while he's monitoring with the people of the state that have inexplicable light while they are moving their vehicles under an irreducible form of evidence of stalking. P.O.C. Gang stalking with the demons that are aiming engineer light driving your car. Does not cause light to shoot through the building, and it doesn't cause light to coast across the outside of the building, and the sun will never sit over one building for 12 hours like I'm documenting at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. This is impossible light outside. This is the people that stay driving in it, monitoring, and they also have light shooting inside of the building at the same time that they're crossing paths while they're gang stalking with California Highway Patrol, with the Ontario Police Department. P.O.C. It's 6:42 a.m. All right, that's video documentation of California Highway Patrol gang stalking with the people of the state at G Street and E, excuse me, not G Street and E, at Euclid Avenue and E, where the entity is following with the fake sun. As I am here at 6, and you know that it's still here as I exit yesterday at 12:51 p.m., where the entity is engaging in the same conduct of molesting with impossible light while they're stalking with ongoing activity, audible activity in Starbucks. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:43 a.m. All right, you will see the fake sun in alignment with my positioning inside of the cafe. The City of Ontario is gang stalking, and the third party driving the white pickup truck, license 22564U3, is engaged in positioning as well, stalking in the path, and also for purposes of bathroom monitoring. This is exposing the tactics of sex offenders that are engaging in surveillance inside and outside of bathrooms, and it includes the City of Ontario Vehicle 3049. This is a white male that's entering and exiting the venue with regards to monitoring, replete with the fake sun, in concert with the California Highway Patrol, the people of the state that are stalking with impossible light inside of the venue, and the engineer light that I'm documenting inside of the Starbucks as I enter it, and as the fake sun is in alignment to me. This is license plate 1564957, the City of Ontario, using the vehicles of the municipality to engage in criminal surveillance and harassment and terrorism. This is the same Ontario Police Department that was gang stalking all night, doing so during the day in the specific environment, replete with the same impossible light activity, replete with what is a light source in the sky space. It's the fake sun, where it remains over me all day long, and this is the same exact pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and the entity that is engaged in gang stalking is a violent sex offender monitoring and obsessed with my vagina as well. You will see impossible light on the seats on the inside of the cafe, where it's shaded. It's on the inside of the building. Nonetheless, the entity has the impossible light that is fluttering all across the wall while a demon keeps their back to you, monitoring on their communication device with the state. And you'll see the shadow of my hand appearing at a distance, and the entity is engaged in that stalking with light while they open and close the door. It is currently 6:47 a.m. where the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. And this terrorist, she's aged, gray hair, gang stalking in an all black dress, license 9LDM863 at 6:47 a.m.
Sure.
Yep. All right, this terrorist license 9LMD863, you can see my shadow appearing on her car. That's impossible light activity. She's a stalker, and she's a terrorist. She opens up the door, stalking me with light while she's engaged in gang stalking. And the impossible light activity is coexisting while they open and close the door. This is all shade. All right, the entity is driving in impossible light. That's the P.O.C. stalking with light, walking in engineer light as well. Engineer light is stationary inside of the venue, and impossible light flashing and varying in concentration. Go ahead. This is impossible light. It has nothing to do with the fake sun, and it also is occurring at varying levels of concentration, meaning it's more bright and concentrated while the demons know that the video is not being captured. This is impossible. It's never occurring under any circumstances, and it also has nothing to do with the fake sun. This is P.O.C. That's supposed to be the sunlight out there. Stalking with light on the sidewalks, stalking with light on the roads and the highways. The entity gang stalked by aerial surveillance, and stalking while impossible light appears while gang stalking is systematically underway. P.O.C. License 8M65547 And this is P.O.C. at the Starbucks at 507 Euclid Avenue. That's ongoing psychological torture. Starbucks remains engaged in stalking with light while the population enters in, which is pacing, and the entity is pacing in the roads and the highways and engaging in what is aligning. They're stalking in the path while you're in the bathroom, stalking with light inside of the venue. And doing so, this is what you're looking at here, impossible light. This is all impossible light activity that is appearing right here in the corners. Light that has nothing to do with the fake sun. This has to do with what is criminal surveillance, and surveillance that's underway inside of bathrooms is a perpetual sex offense. The entity engaged in what is covering up that engineer light very rapidly. You can see it on the door though, here it is here. That's engineer light. And it has nothing to do with the fake sun. The entity, it has nothing to do with sunlight when they're driving by and engineer light is flashing across the walls either. It is supernatural, it's demonic, and these are demons who are stalking, and they're doing so, it's government action. And the entity that engaged in gang stalking and then committing an arrest, that's a kidnapping, not a lawful arrest under any circumstances. The entity exercised a fictitious authority under the law and committed a kidnapping with Tracy Banks and doing so. And this is the entity that's gang stalking together that committed a kidnapping as one. And they're obsessively consumed with monitoring my vagina, surveillance in bathrooms, which is a sex offense. All right, it is currently again 6:50 a.m. This is the entity maintaining impossible light activity that is growing. This light activity changing, alternating in real time. This is relevant to pacing in and out, relevant to audible activity with regard to monitoring in the specific environment. This is the P.O.C. that you're seeing. This light activity you can see. Yeah, that's the pattern of conduct. And the entity is keeping a fake sun with regard to punctuating the presence of the specific environment where not a legitimate business is underway, but demonic pacing and criminal monitoring. This is P.O.C. All right, amplified audible activity maintained inside of the bathroom where you see the engineer light covering the wall and the doors on the inside of the venue, and also the fake sun in alignment and the people of the state engaging in relevant positioning. This is bathroom monitoring. This is the sex offense committed by Starbucks. This is the sex offense committed by the people of the state. It's a sex offense committed by the city of Ontario. And the Ontario Police Department that is being disbanded, it's being disbanded for this very purpose, the illegitimate government interest in my vagina in the bathroom and personal activity inside of a private space, and having no warrant or probable cause and no constitutional authority to engage in criminal surveillance in concert with the people of the state. It's 6:52 a.m. where this is bathroom monitoring and underway through the maintenance of noise activity, which is occurring in the bathroom under that fake sun and an engineer light, which is monitoring in a private space by the people of the state that are stalking day and night, as the evidence shows. P.O.C. All right, bathroom monitoring underway, and you can see the impossible light that's surrounding the demons who are stalking with light by being in the path upon exit of the bathroom. That's relevant positioning, and the entity is maintaining impossible light on the walls and on the seats where they're seated inside of 507 Euclid Avenue, and the fake sun is in alignment to me at 507 Euclid Avenue and monitoring my vagina together while they're enjoying Starbucks beverages. Bathroom monitoring together with the Ontario Police Department, which is why it's being disbanded. This is sexual violence that the police department relies on, facilitates, and incentivizes, and it's also the demonic activity of gang stalking in bathrooms. It is currently 7:01 a.m. You'll see the images of that. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:16 a.m. The people of the state, like I'm documenting at nightfall, where the impossible light activity is coating the wall behind me, where their headlights aren't reaching behind across the walls, and their headlights certainly aren't going to be sparking the grass. And no building lights cause 5 shadows, both upright and flat on the ground. And it is also highly impossible with regard to this fake sun documentation during the day that then also at nighttime the moon is over me. This is speaking to the pattern of conduct. License plate 7YJX757 is stalking in the path, and the fake sun moves as I move away from Starbucks right now to get this documented gang stalker, the sex offender monitoring my vagina, engaging in surveillance. License 5RFF920 doing the same, wearing red scrubs. And I'll show you the fake sun that's no longer over the Starbucks because I walked away from it, like it does 6 hours from now when I go to the library in the middle of the afternoon. This is P.O.C. All right, this African-American female license 7YJX757 is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. It's the same P.O.C. The entity engaging in aerial surveillance creates amplified audible activity in the specific environment while the people of the state pace all around on the ground. And that's what she's doing. You'll see my shadow on the passenger side of her car while I'm facing the fake sun. So my shadow should be behind me, but you're understanding this isn't sunlight. Neither is any of the light that you're seeing all over everything sunlight. This is an entirely demonic environment. It's engineered for criminal monitoring. That's how I have shadows on both sides of myself. And as I'm capturing that environment that is in operation of my device, the demon inside of that vehicle with that license plate, who is African American, by the way, is gang stalking, and the entity is gang stalking with her by the Ontario International Airport that is targeting as I'm capturing that. And you're also aware that they're targeting because of the light activity and because of the fake sun documentation and the entity that is maintaining it inside of the Starbucks. This is P.O.C. And the entity is engaging in the same pattern of conduct hundreds of times all day long, gang stalking me, and also monitoring my vagina. And this is the evidence that is disbanding the Ontario Police Department. It is currently, again, 7:18 a.m. P.O.C. All right, Ontario 507 Euclid Avenue, stalking with impossible light activity, Allison. And Vive, as in Vivian, short for Vivian, pacing a lot to the bathroom. Hi. Patty, Saul, and Elena, who is supposedly some lead. She's leading in a federal case and charges for federal group stalking monitoring with the police and terrorism, as it's maintained in the Starbucks, which she contributes to and leads the rest of the demons inside of the venue. You go ahead, Brett. You were in line first. I'm not ready yet either. The entities engaging in gang stalking at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and the employees inside of the venue are engaging in pacing, stalking in and out of the bathroom as well, and facilitating that violence with the people that come into the venue. And they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what I see. And the engineer light is filling the venue and flashing on the menus, flashing on the walls on the inside, like I've already documented, in the afternoon, in the morning, all times, on the wall adjacent to the drive-through window. That's what they have with regard to terrorism, and I'm going to prosecute the corporation for it, and I'm also going to prosecute these demons that are inside working at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. In case I did not state, her name is Patty. That's another one. At least these are the names on their green aprons that they're wearing. This is P.O.C. Impossible light maintained while they're making orders. They're monitoring while they are engaging in what is collecting money from the orders from the products that they're creating, the beverages that they're making. They're monitoring. And while the fake sun is remaining over the venue, the establishment is stalking, and they're monitoring. Hi, Alice. Oh, I'm sorry, Eileen. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I would like to order. Let me see. I want, first of all, a cup of ice with whatever else I order. So I want to get a cup of ice, not a tall one, but the grande size. Okay. That's okay. And then I would like to drink something cold, I think, today. Any suggestions?
You want were you looking for like coffee or like juice?
Not coffee.
Not coffee.
Something juicy. Yeah.
Well, my go-to is always the mango dragon fruit lemonade. That's my go-to. That's my personal recommendation.
Mango dragon fruit lemonade. And that one doesn't have the refills, right? Only on the hot teas you guys do the refills,
Yeah.
right? Okay, just making sure. I was gonna say I'll get. I will get. That's a grande size. I'll get a tall.
A tall?
Size mango dragon fruit, like you said. And there's an option to have it made with water or lemonade. Is that right?
Yes.
This is the one that's pink, right? Like purple?
It's a purple one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I want. Okay. Yeah, I'll get a tall, and I'll have it made with water. That's fine.
With water?
So, yeah.
And then your name for today?
My name is Erica.
Erica?
Yeah.
It's going to be $4.75.
Okay. The light activity in the fake sun is speaking to psychopaths that know who you are while they're targeting. Yes, and asking my name is audible activity.
Here you go.
Thank you. The maintenance of a fake sun over the venue is speaking to specific identification of who I am. This is how you're able to maintain it amongst a population that's sharing a behavioral pattern as well. That's a psychopathic. Oh, what's your name? That's audible activity. It's P.O.C. It is currently 7:24 a.m. License plate 7NWJ055, gang stalking me with the Starbucks while Impossible Light is all across the menu, engaging in terrorism and harassment, and what is federal stalking under Title 18. 9 NHV 520, 6 GDA 228, 5 VOG 870, in case I did not read that one. P.O.C. So monitoring me, in other words, let me connect the dots for you. Eileen is gang stalking me inside of the cafe. These demons are in the drive-thru, in the parking lot, monitoring outside, as well as the demons in traffic where the Impossible Light coexists with their crossing path. This is a whole operation, and they're gang stalking together. Just stepping outside, getting license plates. Oh, is this mine? Yes, it is. Thank you. Can I have a straw, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
It is currently 7:26 a.m. All right, license 9FDP129 P.O.C. 7:28 a.m. All right, at 7:39 a.m., this is where the demon with license plate stalking and monitoring my vagina, wearing the neon green shirt, exiting at what is 7:39 a.m. with license 22564U3, in operation of his communication device, monitoring my genitalia in concert with the people of the state. And upon exit, under the fake sun and an engineer light, the engineer light is now appearing on the table as they open and close the door. And like I stated, the light activity is that which engages in more gymnastics as I document them. And it's exhibiting mental illness while they do so. They're also sex offenders that are monitoring my genitalia literally. But I want to document that the engineer light that you see where Corey Watson and Ontario police are gang stalking in the same environment, 8KVT309, engaging in domestic terrorism, stalking, psychological torture, terrorism with this Impossible Light, which is pursuant to monitoring. And it's also that which is psychologically harmful and harassing, especially while you're documenting it. But it is under all circumstances, and they are particularly doing it while you're aware of it. And you're documenting it, and while I'm publishing evidence. So I'm publishing the podcast right now. I just got on my YouTube channel. The moment that I do, the engineer light that swipes across the floor as they open the front door is now appearing on the table because the demon possessed wants you to see it. This is how psychopaths that are very highly passive aggressive and mentally ill, in other words, engage in what is, because they can't say anything about what they know you're doing, and they're not going to, for no reason, show hostility overtly, so they stalk you with light. And unfortunately, unfortunately for the demon possessed, they're finding themselves to be very mentally sick as they listen to ongoing legal analysis of their demented mind state and their practices that they are collectively practicing, which, by the way, is no coincidence. It's a P.O.C. And in addition to that, it does not stop a federal prosecution. It doesn't stop a federal investigation, and it will not stop. It will enhance what are diagnoses of mental illness and prosecutions for domestic terrorism by the state and the people of the state. It is 7:41 a.m. The entity resorting to psychological torture, however, this ongoing pattern of conduct is directly relevant to criminal activity and that which is harmful to an American citizen who is not mentally ill, by the way. When the entity seeks to target an American citizen in this manner, the ordinary target individual is very much perturbed and may act out in any way because you're dealing with delicate, fragile human beings, and they're being targeted by everyone, and then it's being masqueraded as though they are suffering from some mental illness when everybody with the mental illness is gang stalking. And they do so showing it, stalking in light and stalking in helicopters and flying in circles, stalking people and keeping their back to you, stalking you while you're being attacked with light that's manifesting out of nowhere. That's mental illness, and that is specific facts and information and circumstances demonstrating behavioral issues with regard to contact and social interactions with other people that are harmful, inflicting harm to other people, doing so in passive aggressive manners for no reason whatsoever at that, and it's also serving a criminal purpose. The entity is engaging in that same P.O.C. together, and it is currently 7:42 a.m. License 7F00931. License 8TAB453. The same pattern of conduct, stalking with Impossible Light, bouncing on top of the table, as opposed to staying on the ground like I documented in video. It's the same pattern of conduct with impossible light. And this is speaking to knowledge of the entity that's being documented. And I want to be clear, the mentally ill that are gang stalking are actually very fearful of the evidence, and that's why they engage in what is actually very demented, and it's irrelevant for my prosecutorial purposes. It's relevant for diagnosing, it's relevant for understanding the pattern of conduct that they're engaging in, and it's also a concession to knowledge. It's commensurate with what I'm documenting, with what they're scared of. But it is under no circumstances stopping. Like, it's still uploading, it's still going on the internet, and everything that they do to try to obstruct that is additional federal charges. These are the mentally ill that are engaging in what is criminal monitoring on the venue of the internet, and the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. For everything that I'm detailing, they're doing it in concert with the police, and the police, the Ontario police that are gang stalking, their mental illness is hereby being exposed as well. They share in the identical pattern of conduct in the exact same environment. They are doing so as corrupt law enforcement who are gang stalking. This is P.O.C. at 7:43 a.m. All right, license 9HUZ740, Tracy Banks at 7:49 a.m. Gang stalking with the rest of the people of the state. License 9NQZ959. License 9JPX576, or I'll get that plate in a second. I believe it's substantially similar. But Tracy Banks is gang stalking with the people of the state while the light is jumping on top of the table, just like yesterday when I'm documenting the concentrated light of the psychopath that was driving the pickup truck, and she's wearing the burgundy pants and the ponytail. That's a demon. She's a psychopath, and her stalking with light is the outward demonstration of that for you to witness how it is that I know what's wrong with them while they are gang stalking. I know that they're criminals, but how it is that I know their mental state, their behavioral health issues is based on their criminal engagement in the P.O.C, and it is referred to in the secular as mental health, and it is in fact license 7SVT291, gang stalk with Tracy Banks, license 7WCC956, license 52376A4. And they're gang stalking. You'll see impossible light while Tracy Banks is walking out of the side entrance. This demon knows that her picture's being taken, but her picture's been taken every day. License 9JPX576. Yeah, that is the right license plate. While they're walking in and out, the impossible light activity, more concentrated and jumping on top of the table. That's demonic. That's never happening under any circumstances, and nor is sunlight going to push into the interior of the venue to the walls, creating what are panels of light above the leather seats on the wall, creating the light that's above the bathroom door, beside the bathroom door, on the inside, underneath the structure that's outside of the building, and then doing gymnastics to appear on the floor. This is all impossible light, including opening and closing the door. It's a classic form of stalking with light. I've been documenting that for years, actually. The entity engages in this more obsessive and psychotic. That's what it's demonstrative of obsession. And the impossibility is directly relevant to the demon possession, the demonic features with regard to what is impossible to naturally occur. And it's going toward the demons that are desperate while they are being documented. Okay, so they engage in attacking with light, like, again, maniacal psychopaths, highly passive aggressive, highly psychopathic, and also clearly having no other form, because the stalking with light by the demons, there's no spirit that's jumping on me. There's nothing that's going to change my mind. It is enhancing the legal analysis, and I'm going to prosecute for this very type of scene where the entity is monitoring. All they're doing is admitting, I'm monitoring, I'm stalking you. Oh yeah, and I'm a demon. That's how that's happening. That's all that they're doing, and I'm going to use all that, like you would in any case, to prosecute the offender. All right, it is 7:53 a.m. Tracy Banks inside of the venue at 7:49, making a purchase, and Starbucks' criminal engagement in the P.O.C. is underway in that same manner. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:30 a.m. and you will see the fake sun remaining in alignment with 507 Euclid Avenue. That's remaining in alignment with the building that I'm inside of, where it is over the top of my head in its zenith as the entity engages in what is rising on the east side and setting on the west side of my person, wherever it is that I'm positioned. That's the maintenance of a fake sun at the venue. And as I document the fake sun and the maintenance of the fake sun in alignment with me as I'm walking inside of the building, you will see the stationary maintenance of the people of the state that are not sharing in that same experience, shown to be stalking in that environment. And the Starbucks venue itself, the establishment, the corporation, is going to be prosecuted for stalking, and the way in which the domestic terrorism system of federal group stalking and monitoring operates. And accordingly, that's how corrupt businesses that are gang stalked with the state are going to be prosecuted. You are looking at impossible light inside of the building, which is exposing pacing as opposed to individualized conduct and a business establishment that's not corrupt, engaging in what is gang stalking simultaneously embedded into that corrupt business where they're profiting from domestic terrorism and psychological torture. They're pacing in light that is impossible to occur on the inside of the building. They are pacing while the impossible maintenance of the fake sun remains in alignment to me inside of the building, and they are doing so as I capture that. You're paying attention to what is pacing, which is stalking as I'm documenting it, and the more that I document, the more that they begin pacing. So I'll capture the demon-possessed pacing in and out of the bathroom, and then they'll engage in what is pacing more and more. This is that mental illness that is operating over the people of the state. It's also speaking to their mental illness is directly tied to what is their obsession with stalking me. And it is also with regard to delusion that the entity engages in more of that which is documented, and that is supposed to be the guise under which innocence is seen. Because the false logic of the demons is that if you're engaging in it in plain sight, then there's nothing wrong that you are doing, because why would you be doing that? Because that's obviously incriminating. The entities engage in that P.O.C. and the demons that engage in pacing, as they are remember real-time monitoring and repeating that's the unlawful threat, that's the impermissible threat. That is the ongoing obsession also that is not closeted, the mental illness which is not closeted, and the open engagement with impunity, which is relevant to that prostitution. It's 8:32 a.m. The entity is pacing, engaging in surveillance by being seated, by working at the venue, and it's surveillance at a macro level because the entity, whether sitting in the cafe or coming in and out of the cafe, driving by the cafe, flying over the cafe, the entity altogether is maintaining presence, which is criminal surveillance. As you get into documenting the people of the state collectively, it's surveillance sitting in the venue, it's surveillance working at the venue, and it's stalking coming in and out of the venue. They're maintaining presence as they're coming in and going, they're pacing in and out, which is stalking collectively. But just want to provide that legal analysis where they're gang stalking in this specific environment. It's 8:33 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, at 8:39 a.m. Stalking with impossible light activity by the same gang stalker I'm documenting, routinely engaging in the P.O.C. by virtue of a corrupt business of Staples, the corrupt business of QDE, for example, the corrupt business of Brightview, who's stalking in the path with flashing light across the street. License, this is Staples, license 00739G2. This is an African-American male stalking in the path with impossible light activity, which is speaking to malice. Let me show you. Gang stalking, bearing the logo Staples, engaging in the P.O.C. with the people of the state, including Brightview, who's stalking in the path with the method of flashing light. This is what the people of the state were doing last night with the Ontario Police Department, who were pacing in helicopter in the engineered light. I have multiple shadows at the TABOR Professional Building at nightfall, where they are in the path, gang stalking and maintaining a vehicle as a method of light activity, flashing on and off. You can create flashing light activity in multiple manners. The demon possessed in California typically are using vehicles. This is what Brightview is doing in the path under the fake sun. So you're looking at the same crime scene, the same setting, the same specific environment. Doing so while Staples, an African-American male, maliciously engaging in the corrupt pattern of conduct that the people of the state are engaging in on behalf of the government. And the one that's being disbanded, the Ontario Police, who are engaging in criminal surveillance with the people of the state and engaging in that P.O.C. while impossible light flashes inside of the venue, like I've been documenting with every other demon-possessed person, not different because you're holding products as you're understanding the public corruption that's underway, where gang stalking is simultaneously underway through the same exact operations of a business, through the operations of a government, through the operations of any means at a kindergarten school. The people of the state are gang stalking when you're looking at that specific environment, and that's just getting to one of the most despicable and disturbing manners of gang stalking by sex offenders who include children in that P.O.C. where public corruption is exposed. So Staples with that correct license plate, it is again license plate 00739G2. The African-American male is gang stalking. I'm documenting him on multiple occasions. You will see the fake sun where he's making a delivery, speaking to targeting and intentionally targeting. This is how the demon-possessed are thinking. This is the presupposition of gang stalking, that they are disguised, meaning no one is ever going to suspect it. You're clearly just engaging in what is the business of a company, for example, and having every right to do so. In fact, belonging at the venue and doing so. And that same false sense of anonymity, and the entity, that corruption, that underlying corruption, that malice, is what exactly was going to prosecute the gang stalkers in that specific environment. That's malice, and it's speaking to the corruption of that business and the operations of that business and the government that's engaging in public corruption. Gang stalking with QDE, as I'm documenting with Starbucks, gang stalking with Staples under the fake sun during the day, and that business is targeting, and that employee is targeting, and it's also exposing demon possession, and this is the elaborate corrupt system of federal group stalking and monitoring. As I'm remaining at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and that fake sun is in alignment to me, while Staples is using a commercial means of gang stalking. That's the basis for prosecuting such commercial gang stalking companies that are maliciously using a company business or an establishment like Staples is in order to facilitate federal group stalking and monitoring in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, which is under no circumstances constitutionally protected, or that you're not entitled to engage in this while you're using, creating a business or maintaining a business. And this is prosecuting businesses like Staples, like QDE, like Starbucks for engaging in it. And this is shared with the entity that is gang stalking in relevant position. It's not just Starbucks. The city of Ontario is gang stalking. In other words, I am one person documenting the P.O.C. where I remain in relevant position. That's where the fake sun is. That's why Starbucks is the center of the documentation right now. But understand that I am the center of the attention of the city of Ontario, and that is evident through the maintenance of an environment, an unnatural environment, demonstrating that a fake sun that is still present where the California Highway Patrol is under it 2 hours earlier. The Ontario Police Department coming into the venue gang stalking in the same way that the people of the state are buying a beverage in the engineer light, pacing around, stalking with activity in doing so, and maintaining that same criminal presence as a population coming in and buying more and more drinks. The entity is also going to be civilly prosecuted and draining the pockets with regard to everything that is profited from gang stalking me, because this is where the population is engaging in that P.O.C. under the guise of purchasing beverages from Starbucks and purchasing products from Starbucks. You're going to drain the pockets, but it's also serving for what is a criminal prosecution where damages are designed to devastate that company that doesn't have any right under the Constitution to be a sex offender, to be a stalker, to be a criminal facilitator of terrorism like Starbucks is. And Starbucks is facilitating with the people of the state and the government as you're prosecuting that commercial actor, that business. That includes Staples, okay? That includes QDE, where I'm documenting them. That includes Brightview, who is stalking in the path under the fake sun. And that environment is where you're looking at all the malice that is exhibited while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring in a way that you're never supposed to pay attention. You're never supposed to notice. This is never supposed to be seen, all right? And this is also why the demon-possessed are hostile, but they're psychopaths, while that hostility is also unveiled through the impossible light activity, through the stalking conduct of the government, who was gang stalking all night long in helicopter, and that same government is gang stalking right now inside of a Starbucks vicariously through the people of the state. And you're never separating the two. The entity that is clearly stalking by the fire department, American Medical Response, the airport, and the police department are stalking right now through the people of the state. They're maintaining that ongoing P.O.C. It is a ceaseless pattern of conduct. It is currently 8:46 a.m. This is P.O.C. And Staples engaging in that pattern of conduct, bearing license 00739G2 and terrorizing me in doing so, stalking with impossible light. Staples, again, for no reason whatsoever, targeting me through that impossible light activity. It's a demon that's operating that vehicle that is attributed to a company that can be prosecuted, that will be prosecuted, and it's a demon that's engaging in a malicious pattern of conduct, literally hiding behind logos. Those logos are going to be prosecuted, and the people of the state bearing those logos are going to be prosecuted. It is 8:47 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is, again, the pattern of conduct. The music is audible activity. There is no copyright interest. This is relevant to criminal conduct, and that's also something that's going to be expounded upon and understood with regard to unveiling the unprecedented crime of the government that's keeping American citizens under surveillance. P.O.C. All right, the people of the state pacing inside of the venue of 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun remains, at the same exact address where I'm documenting the California Highway Patrol gang stalking at the Chevron in relevant position that is in perfect alignment with me, that's gang stalking in the path where the fake sun is remaining, and that was 3 hours ago. It's 9:31 a.m. So you will see Elena, this is an employee of the facilitating venue, pacing with the demons that are patrons gang stalking at the venue, while tornadoes of impossible light all on the walls, while you're seeing demons keeping their head down. They know they're being documented. Demons that are gang stalking, even with their face up, smiling from ear to ear, and they know that they're being documented. The specific environment is demonstrating that, and the ongoing ceaseless gang stalking by the government that is acting through the people that stay who are in the shoes of the government while they maintain the elements of monitoring. So what I want to document is, as I'm on line and it is engaged in criminal surveillance, the entity is engaging in the ongoing gymnastics, stalking with a possible light, while Elena opens the bathroom door, and the demon's opening the front door, the entrance at 507 Euclid Avenue. Impossible light activity going behind the door to reach where I'm seated at the table. You can see my location, and that's where they have, also, you can see the shape of the windows of the door flat on the ground inside. So that's stationary impossible light. And then you also know that the face of the windows, the shape of the door, is on the outside, on the sidewalk as well, which is engineered light that they're walking in, and then the engineered light engaging in this windmill conduct as it reaches backward to reach toward me. And this is the demon stalking, engaging what is harassment and terrorism, pursuant to criminal monitoring, as I'm editing the playlist regarding what the entity was doing in the specific environment in concert with LAPD, where I'm subject to gang stalking in the workplace, where the entity would engage in gang stalking someone and maintaining a criminal means of acquiring through fraud a conservatorship, and suggesting that the target individual cannot take care of themselves, is not capable of being responsible for themselves, such as not being able to maintain a job, when the evidence that the entity is hostile to, harassing and accosting me with impossible light, while I'm editing the playlist regarding the gang stalking that this same entity committed in the workplace, while LAPD is gang stalking me in the workplace, by speaker companies that's gang stalking me in the workplace, and the people of the state that are gang stalking me on the job, like what was documented on June 18, 2024. And that playlist will be attached to the podcast for today, June 18, 2025. This is a juxtaposition of the entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. And you're understanding the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct where the fake sun both rises and sets, which I'm documenting the exact same thing in Los Angeles, and the entities engaging in the same pattern of conduct when the demon-possessed know that they've been documented and engage in what is covering up the fake sun for a portion of the beginning of the day, and then at whatever point that it arrives over my head in conformity to the exact same pattern of conduct, replete with impossible light activity. The fake sun documentation is a means of identifying the supernatural environment where supernatural behavior, demons who are passive-aggressive and targeting you, exhibiting mental illness, keeping their head down, keeping their back to you, engaging in what is keeping their eye focused on other things and other people while they're all stalking you together, and stalking, monitoring your genitalia while they're engaged in federal stalking. The entity is doing so at Starbucks in the specific environment, which is again what is documented today in 2024 as well. Elena is engaging in what is harassing and terrorizing me with this impossible light activity while she's pacing in and out of the bathroom. That's what you'll see reflected. Starbucks is acting in conformity to the pattern of conduct with all the rest of the demons, and it's all state action. It's 9:35 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, you have the third party Viv, gang stalking. The moment that I open up a video of damning evidence, for example, going through the playlist of LAPD gang stalking with the people that stayed at Alvarado Gardens today in 2024, you're always mindful of the big picture. The entity has been keeping the fake sun rising and setting at Woodside Senior Apartments over Tracy Banks' apartment. The entity has been maintaining the specific environment at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue from 6 in the morning until 7 in the evening. The entity is maintaining the specific environment, keeping the fake sun over me while I'm on Omnitrans on Route 61 coming toward Ontario, on Route 61 coming from 1627 East Hope Boulevard at the TAD office back to Ontario at another time in the same pattern of keeping the fake sun in alignment on that same bus route that takes the same bus route and the same experience with the fake sun through the window and positioned where I'm located on that bus, stalking with the fake sun. All of that is mutually exclusive, and it's also pursuant to the demon possessed who know what you're doing on your device, and with simultaneity to opening up video, and I'll let you know which video in particular that the demons are fearful of, and where they engage in what is psychological torture, harassment, sexual violence, molestation, including with those under the age of majority, pacing at 9:41 a.m. coming out of the bathroom just like Viv and Elena, stalking with impossible light activity, and they're doing so under the fake sun that's remaining at this venue. Avenue. And on June 18, 2024, where Viv is inspired to engage in what is accosting me with impossible light, which is the criminal engagement in criminal monitoring by Starbucks and her, and it is a state action by the government that's acting through this demon who's pacing in and out of a bathroom, exhibiting mental illness. She's stalking, going into the bathroom just to hit another person with light while she's monitoring. And she's doing so because the demon in her is inspiring her to pace around me while she's exhibiting her mental illness. She's pacing. But nonetheless, this is the shared condition by the entity that's engaging in surveillance in a cafe, exhibiting mental illness, and doing so under the 2:47 p.m. fake sun, which is remaining over me at Alvarado Gardens today in 2024. The entity is maintaining the fake sun on video at 2:47 p.m. And I will go ahead and give you that timestamp. I'm going to attach this playlist, but this is what Viv is fearful of. The demon in Viv is very fearful, and the demon in Viv is sharing that same emotional response with regard to flinging light, but that doesn't stop a prosecution. And I'm also going to specifically document you because you're going to be diagnosed and prosecuted with regard to the terrorism via impossible light activity while you're monitoring me with the government that's engaging in a pattern of kidnapping as well. But the entity is engaging in what is a shared pattern of conduct. And on June 18, 2024 at Alvarado Gardens, inside of the laundry room, where I am both documenting the fake sun at 8:47 in the morning and inside of that same laundry room at 2:47 in the afternoon, which is what I'm capturing on this day. And I attach that related content. So when you look at that video, you will recall what I already documented at that same laundry room, whereas the evidence of a stalking with the fake sun is evident by the LAPD, the same state, which is what the pattern of conduct is here at Starbucks. At 2:47 p.m., if you'll recall, C. Torres, that engaged in kidnapping, is under the fake sun where Viv is gang stalking me, where Viv is engaging on what is the passive-aggressive and psychotic method of stalking with light by opening and closing a door, being at a great distance, where a delusional terrorist is engaging in criminal conduct that they will be specifically held accountable for, and the government will be held accountable for, while the entity is engaging in this delusion whereby, oh, you don't see me with a light gun, and I'm not touching you, I'm not saying anything to you, so I'm not responsible, and I have no idea what's going on. That's the deluded mind state of the psychopaths that are gang stalking, and they're going to be prosecuted for the crime scene, for the psychological torture behind that crime scene, for the ongoing maniacal attacks that the entity engages in while they're monitoring. The light is relevant to criminal monitoring, that's surveillance, it's government conduct, and it's also psychologically harmful while you are stalking, okay? The entity is engaging in a sex offense in the shoes of an entity in doing so because the demons are infuriated while I pull up damning evidence that slinging light is not going to erase from the record. Look at the video with the timestamp 2024-0618. 144707 at 2:47 p.m. The fake sun is remaining over me while I am at 1808 North Alvarado Street in the workplace, where the entity is targeting me at work with the intent to criminally defame in order to maintain a criminal means of a fraudulently procured means of a conservatorship, which Tracy Banks is maintaining while she's gang stalking with the state, with the city of Ontario, with the actually mentally ill people of the state. The entity is also doing so with demons like Jason Isaac Fields, who are maintaining a criminal means of acquiring some fraudulently procured marriage while I'm being targeted by the state. And it is proven through the maintenance of an environment where the sun is not over 507 North EUCLID Avenue, where C. Torres is stalking after committing kidnapping at that while bearing weapons and representing a corrupt law enforcement agency that's also stalking me day and night in helicopter, like I'm documenting just last night again. C. Torres is under the fake sun at 2:47 p.m. inside of this cafe, gang stalking with the people of the state. And on June 18th today, which is same time of year and the same time where the natural environment does not have the sun over 1808 North Alvarado Street and also over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Viv is inside of the cafe demonstrating the threat that she is to herself and the public while she is pacing around like a psychopath into a bathroom to keep another person under surveillance, where she's engaging in what is accosting another American citizen with impossible light while she's monitoring them and doing so in the name of a corrupt business that is Starbucks. It is currently 9:45 a.m. where the fake sun is remaining, and the entity is maintaining the fake sun over me on this day in 2024 as I'm documenting on video at 12:54 p.m. Remember, I departed from this venue yesterday on June 17, 2025 at around 12:51 p.m. The entity has the fake sun today in 2024, same time of year, same time. Analysis relevant here at 12:54 p.m. on video, at 2:47 p.m. on video, at 5:01 p.m. on video on this day in 2024, where the entity is keeping the fake sun over me at the workplace at Alvarado Gardens, which is the pattern of conduct, not the natural environment. And that pattern of conduct with regard to the supernaturally maintained environment where demons are stalking with light like Viv is, like Elena is, like the underage demons that are gang stalking with them, as the entity is contributing to the delinquency of minors. The entity is doing so in a remarkable environment that is unmistakable, and it's also irreducible. And while they're engaging in ongoing obstruction of justice tactics, they're going to be further prosecuted for it. The entity is doing so pursuant to knowledge. They are indeed engaged in federal stalking while they're monitoring my internet activity. And as I pull up damning evidence that the demons are actually very afraid of, they engage in more violence, and that's what's informing what is federal policy. And it's also letting you know that the demon possessed that engage in domestic terrorism in the way in which I've shown, gang stalking, they are a national security threat to American citizens, both to themselves and to other people, where they sit around inside of cafes like this, stalking another person. They go and engage in what is crouching in bathrooms, stalking. They engage in what is surveilling the genitalia of the target individual, and it is illegitimate government conduct as well. It's an illegitimate government interest for the entity to do so in concert with the sex offenders who are the people of the state, including Viv, working at 507 North Euclid Avenue. It's 9:47 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is remaining, and the demons are pacing on side. They're all pacing in engineer light. That is both flat on the ground, swiping while they pace in and out of the entryway, and also while the entity has engineer light all over the walls and the ceilings, just dancing all about while psychopaths are stalking. The entity is doing so while the fake sun's remaining, where LAPD is gang stalking on this day under the fake sun that remains over me as well. This is P.O.C. It's 9:48 a.m. It is currently 12:29 p.m. and this is documentation of federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice committed by Starbucks, the corporation. It is headquartered in Seattle. Its employees are each individually engaging in Title 18 while they're engaged in federal stalking in the specific environment with the state, and they are gang stalking, so they are each engaging in obstruction of justice with regard to their criminal engagement in what is targeting an American citizen further to murder and kidnapping, and seeking to obstruct justice by trying to conceal, that is, obstruct the ability to publish it while my communication device is being tampered with on the video of the internet, where my apps are not working in the way that they're designed, and there's nothing wrong with my phone. So again, I'm always maneuvering around it, and I also document because it's criminal conduct by the government, and this is what Viv, this is what Elena, this is what Saul, this is what the demons that are Raquel that are gang stalking, pacing around. This is what is relevant with regard to their pacing conduct. It affects communication devices. The entity has this engineered light, like walls, panels of engineered light sweeping through. It's very demonic. It's ongoing terrorism. And the entity is also engaging in what is obstruction by monitoring on my device, trying to stop while they're stalking, while they're monitoring and terrorizing, trying to stop the evidence from being published online. And also that, which I've also documented, what is already published, again, on the entity that is monitoring on the video of the internet, is also repeatedly going behind and converting my published documentation to unpublished documentation, such as the documentation of the podcast of the gang stalking police officer on June 11, 2025, repeatedly making that video, which is on podcast, private, and it is not private, it is published. Everything that I have is published up to date, and the entity is repeatedly engaging in it. That's obstruction as well. And that officer is going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in criminal conduct, and then this is the most corrupt entity ever. So I'm just speaking to this is the entity that murders people. This is the entity that kidnaps people. This is the entity that tries to utterly destroy the lives of American citizens, and that's not happening to me. But I'm showing how desperate and how far-reaching the entity goes in order to obstruct justice, and it's occurring in a neighborhood cafe that you refer to as Starbucks. They're a bunch of demons that they're gang stalking with the government, and they're demon possessed. That's why demonic light fills the cafe while they're serving drinks with the brand Starbucks on it. The demons are preparing the drinks. The demons are purchasing the drinks. The demons are sitting in the venue gang stalking with the demons that are outside of the venue pacing all around together while they're monitoring and engaging in an ongoing satanic campaign, gang stalking, and then trying to stop the evidence from being published online. This is what the demon possessed have been doing from the beginning. This is what it looks like when you have defeated Satan, and Satan is out of ideas. It is currently 12:31 p.m. This is documentation of obstruction of justice by federal stalking. A federal case for every single last one of them. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:11. License 61980G3, 9COD578, 8EVS 841. And the entity is gang stalking by the Ontario International Airport, flying over the intersection of East Street and Euclid as I am capturing the people of the state under the fake sun that remains over the venue as I'm capturing at the top of my head and in zenith. And you're remembering that the California Highway Patrol is gang stalking under a fake sun with knowledge and intent, pursuant to the pattern of conduct that all of the people of the state are engaging in. And that was 6 hours ago. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7 hours ago. License 7YJA820 and license plate 7UBP171 and 9LPA745. The part of the population engaging in criminal surveillance, ongoing harassment by the government, while the entity is maintaining panels of impossible light inside of that venue, while the demons engage in what are gang stalking, doing so while intentionally committing an unlawful eviction. The entity wants me to be in this state while gang stalking, while I'm publishing my evidence on the venue of the internet, while the entity is seeking to obstruct justice. And this is under no circumstances going to be some basis for mental illness. The entity is engaging in what is criminally procuring things such as a conservatorship secretly while gang stalking at the same time. You're going to federal prison for that. And secretly procuring a criminal means of maintaining a fake marriage with me while you're gang stalking me. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison for that. And the entity engaging in what is kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department, the entity that's engaging in a pattern of kidnapping and criminal defamation, and doing so while I am in this state being subject to the pattern of conduct. The entity is gang stalking all day, all night. I publish the evidence on the internet. The entity engages in a campaign of ongoing psychotic behavior, trying to stop that publishing while they're seeking to obstruct justice, and they're going to federal prison for that. EC68C38. Jason, she's bathroom monitoring. This is a Caucasian female. She paces in, buys a drink, paces into the bathroom. That's what they're all doing. Hundreds of people going in and out of the bathroom. And the entity is doing so for purposes of monitoring me. And this is the entire focal point of what is going on in Ontario with regard to monitoring me and the population's consumption with monitoring me. And it's relevant that the entity committed kidnapping to get me out of Tracy Banks' apartment, to create some level of instability. In other words, that's the point. While I'm subject to this pattern of conduct, the entity is going to federal prison for that. I'm documenting that. This is the purpose of it. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. He's not holding on to property that belongs to me, and doing so in a manner where I would be kept in a facility while the entity is engaging in what they've been doing for years on paper, creating a whole different character who is not Erica Lorraine Spencer while they're gang stalking me. The entity is engaging in criminally defaming me and stealing property that belongs to me. That's the whole purpose, in addition to what has ultimately taken my life. These are demons, and this is demonic, and this is the entity that is engaging in what is a satanic means of trying to sacrifice me. The entity has sacrificed itself, and I'm exposing all of the motivations behind every detail regarding the pattern of conduct and the way in which I was subject to the pattern of conduct. And it's the entity that is seeking to obstruct justice in any way that it can. Because the entity is targeting me under these circumstances, federal prison all the way around is what I'm stating. 9HRN357, 8TDP779, 8BBN 936, 8MOR113, 7MRF493, 5F15857. The entity moves the fake sun from being over the entrance of the Starbucks to being over me in the parking lot. So I'm going to go ahead and capture a picture of that. This is documentation of the fake sun, because remember at 6:18 p.m. when I go back to the sidewalk at the entrance, the fake sun is at the entrance. This is where the fake sun is in the morning when I'm approaching the Starbucks as well from the parking lot vantage point. The entity is indeed stalking with a fake sun, meaning the entity, the population, the government is stalking, and it is underscored, proven by the maintenance of a supernatural environment over me, where all of the population is stalking me, and that environment is also stalking, which is terrorism, and it's going to be prosecuted accordingly. It is currently 1:15 p.m. I'm going to capture the fake sun while I'm looking at the drive-through window angle where Raquel is gang stalking with the people of the state. License 7XFZ273. At 1:16 p.m. on surveillance cameras, completing a purchase with the people of the state gang stalking together. All right, you will see the fake sun over the parking lot vantage point. Remember, at 7:26 p.m. while I'm inside of the Starbucks, from the inside, I'm capturing the fake sun through the drive-through window while I'm in that parking lot looking at the drive-through window. This is, the asininity of stalking with the fake sun and all the ways in which you're looking at what is remaining with the light source that's not the sun. And it's the evidence of a population that's stalking, and that population is doing so on behalf of the city police, Ontario police, who are gang stalking with all the people of the state that maintain impossible light to harass, terrorize, and psychologically harm while I'm publishing all the evidence of them stalking and monitoring me, and doing it intentionally while aware of the fact of who I am and what it is that I'm publishing online with regard to enforcing my rights against this demon-possessed entity. This is public corruption, all manner of it, and every function of the City of Ontario is engaging in that criminal endeavor, both targeting and seeking to obstruct justice while I publish the evidence online necessarily with regard to enforcing my rights. And that's relevant to how this entity is already exposed and already subject to a prosecution, but the way in which it's going to be prosecuted based on the level of criminality and malice that I'm exposing while I'm publishing and exposing the pattern of conduct. It's currently right now, the time is 1:19 p.m. I'm going to get the fake sun now. It's back over the entrance. I'm on the sidewalk again, facing where California Highway Patrol was at the Chevron, where the fake sun, again, took 6 hours. It's 7 hours, and it's over the top of my head at the entrance. And it's also going to move, and that's exclusive with regard to Raquel. When she stays in the Starbucks, that's how you know that she's gang stalking me while she's working at a facilitating venue, which is the basis of federal prison, I want to be clear. I'm documenting her engaging in domestic terrorism on an ongoing systematic basis, and that's a basis of federal prison, just laying out how the federal rules with regard to prosecuting an entity, a government that's monitoring with a population. But nonetheless, California Highway Patrol at 6:39 a.m. and it's 1:19 p.m. and the fake sun is 7 hours to be across the street over the top of my head, and it's not in Florida with regard to the natural environment, as opposed to the illusion that the demon-possessed present when they're targeting you in a demonic environment with demonic methods such as impossible light activity and the maintenance of a fake sun, when they're all psychopaths pacing all around you, stalking you, not going about their business, not engaging in what is anything constitutionally protected or private. They're doing so on behalf of the government that's also keeping you under surveillance through them and with them. It is 1:20 p.m. I'm going to get the fake sun right now. This is P.O.C. at 507 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is keeping the fake sun like I documented on this day in 2024, where LAPD is gang stalking me as I'm capturing it. 12:51 p.m. I'm capturing LAPD gang stalking. I'm capturing the entity under the fake sun at 2:47 p.m. when I'm at 1810 North Alvarado Street inside of the laundry room, showing you the fake sun reflecting off of windshields out of that very exclusive sky space that I could see inside of the window of that laundry room, and I'm looking at it over the top of my head at 507 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California on the same day. That's the pattern of conduct. It is currently, again, 1:20 p.m. 9KZG140, license 1630715, pacing at the C Street turn circle in front of the OVITT Community Library under the fake sun. That license plate starting with the number 9, there's a white Tesla in operation of the communication device inside that Tesla while they're pacing. The C Street turn circle is a means of pacing, driving in a circle. The fake sun's now over 215 East C Street, and it is not over Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. And it's also not over Starbucks. 9GZD299, 8NPT 736, City of Ontario is what you hear, license 1416743, P.O.C. That's the city engaged in surveillance. Paul Leon's criminal engagement in that P.O.C. citywide. License 9CLK236. Yeah. It is currently, by the way, where the fake sun deviates from remaining all day long at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where it was just over the entrance, where it was there in alignment since California Highway Patrol was documented gang stalking at 6:39 a.m. Now it's over the top of my head. Also in contravention of nature, because I'm here at 7 in the morning, as I've documented in 2019 through 2021, and in 2024 I'm documenting my presence here at 9:18 in the morning. The fake sun is following as the people that state the population is following. The Ontario Police Department are following. License 7RYC531, gang stalking with the Ontario Police at 215 East C Street. I'll capture the fake sun right now. The entity is engaged in bathroom monitoring. This is the perpetual sex offense. It's ongoing documentation of harassment, and doing so in pursuit of what is ultimately murder and kidnapping. The entity is trying to target, and doing so also in concert with minor children. They're pacing in and out of the entrance under the fake sun with kids, and it's not an adorable scene. It's abuse of minor children, and it's also demonic. It's very creepy. It's relevant to psychological torture. I'm going to go ahead and capture this. All right, this is where the Ontario International Airport is taking off. And I put that in air quotes because you're not taking off, you're stalking. That's Delta Airlines. Over a senior citizen complex as the people of the state are under the fake sun. That's not in Los Angeles over Alvarado Gardens like I'm documenting at 12:51 p.m. today. This is called pacing under the fake sun. That's audible activity. This is federal stalking, all races, okay? Gang stalking, probably going to Paul Leon's gang stalking City Hall, monitoring, all right? With all the people of the state, including minor children, while the airport is hovering over the senior citizen complex, the 280 North Lemon Apartments, in the specific environment where the fake sun is still here, like I documented on June 6, 2025. This fake sun that's over me at the entrance right here, see, that's over the entrance right here where I stand, is right here over this parking garage at 6:10 p.m. where the Ontario Police are engaging aerial surveillance by helicopter. 8GHF 684 shares in that pattern of conduct. That's a demon with their foot on the brakes, stalking in the path. And the people of the state are gang stalking with minor children. And the moment that I start capturing the demon possessed, keeping little demonic children pacing all around, monitoring with the government while the Ontario Police is being disbanded, the entity sounds plane activity. That means a stalker was already present, and it's the amplified sound of plane activity. There's no Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 over the TABOR Professional Building. There's no Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And there's no Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 right here at 280 North Lemon or at the 215 EC Street. And you also know that it's targeting because LAPD is gang stalking by helicopter in the same manner, in the same irreconcilable environment in concert with the people. 8VXM036. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Montclair School District is gang stalking, just like they were on June 16, 2022. They're engaging in gang stalking with the Ontario Police, sharing in criminal elements and monitoring while the entity is committing a kidnapping. And doing so with the Ontario International Airport. That's Southwest Airlines. Flying in all manner of direction, by the way. That's Southwest. This is pacing. That's pacing. These are demons. Light activity. 9RZV632. And this is the impunity. This is why Ontario police are going to federal prison and the people of the state are going to prison. These are the people that summon the police, making malicious allegations while they're monitoring you. And they do it in the environment. Woodside Senior Apartments committed criminal summoning, where I'm documenting the fake sun remaining all day long, including right now over Woodside Senior Apartments, which this is not shared with. When you're stalking in the path, that's a demon with a method of flashing light, in concert with the demon amplifying plane activity, flying over, and doing so in concert with the demons of the Ontario Police, who are being disbanded by this criminal engagement in the P.O.C. with the City of Ontario and the people of the state. OVITT Family Community Library is being documented. They're a state facilitating venue that's gang stalking with the people who are entering in and out of the venue, monitoring me. It's not about their books, it's not about their programs, it's about gang stalking. That's why the fake sun is here. That's why it's here at sunrise, and that's why it's here at sunset, which is already evidence surrounding this venue that also committed kidnapping. License again, 9RZV632. This is impunity by the state, not just this third party that's relevant for a federal stalking prosecution and gang stalking prosecution. License 8JUS 615. It is currently 1:33 p.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun over me at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario Fire Department is gang stalking inside of that venue. And I'm also documenting at the same time the Los Angeles Police Department gang stalking by helicopter at the same time of year at Alvarado Gardens. And that's what gives you context about the method of the methods of activity creation in your presence in the supernatural environment. This is P.O.C. 5 hours from now, the fake sun is here, like I documented. That's understanding the context of the activity that's being created, and they're demons that are engaged in criminal monitoring, and they're doing so at nightfall when they're stalking at engineered light as well, where my shadows all over the ground and the demon possessed are pacing and stalking with light activity with the airport, with the police department, with the fire department, and American Medical Response. It is the P.O.C. It is currently again 1:34 p.m. All right, the fake sun is remaining over the staircase. Remember, everything that I'm documenting is going toward the prosecution of Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, in particular. Those two demons engaged in what is gang stalking in pursuit of what is stealing property from me. And this is how they maintain a fraudulently procured through the criminal means of gang stalking, defamation, and fraud, a secret marriage and a secret conservatorship, which are all improper and illegal and unethical with regard to the government's provision, the ability to do that without my consent and knowledge, while I am not coincidentally, but pursuant to a pattern of conduct subject to gang stalking, as my evidence also proves. And this kidnapping that Jason Isaac Fields engaged in, that Tracy Banks engaged in, that the City of Ontario, the Ontario Police engaged in, is relevant to what I'm documenting right now, because this is exactly what was underway, and this is what Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields remain engaged in. They are gang stalking me while they're maintaining a fraudulent marriage and a fraudulent and criminally procured conservatorship with regard to trying to steal property that belongs to me and will be reconciled unto myself. This is documenting the government's engagement in what are aiding theft through public corruption, gang stalking in order to steal property, and the entity is going to federal prison for that, and it includes Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, who are responsible for the ongoing threat to my life and safety that I remain subject to while they maintain these criminal devices of fake marriage and a fake conservatorship that the government that's gang stalking me provided to Tracy Banks while they were gang stalking me together. It is, again, the current time is, I can't really see, it's 1:36 p.m. and I'm going to capture the fake sun that's over the top of my head now that I'm inside of 215 E.C. Street, where you see it at the entrance on video. And as I walk in, it is over the top of my head while I'm looking up at the window that's at the ceiling adjacent to the elevator, and I've documented this in the morning. This is documentation of what is a fake sun remaining over me where I go in the building, and also engineer light. My shadow's on the ground, the fake sun is directly above. This is engineer light for criminal monitoring purposes, which the City of Ontario is maintaining inside of the building, and it's government conduct. This is literally a state facilitating venue, but it's all government conduct while they're stalking in the bathroom, while they're checking out books, watching movies, checking out study rooms, working in the venue. This is government action and facilitating it, and it's relevant to RICO charges as well. This is all done in furtherance of what is targeting me. That's why the fake sun, the engineer light, the specific environment supersedes any and every admission to criminal presence, because it's all criminal conduct. This is P.O.C. It is again 1:37 p.m. All right, in this environment, this is where the people of the state are stalking with light, and you can see the impunity and the malice on their face while they gang stalk like nothing is going to result of it. This is relevant to the unlawful threat to your life that you are faced with when the government and the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government are targeting, getting in and out of the vehicles, stalking by pacing at the C Street turn circle for ongoing incessant crossing of path, while all of the environment is showing what is the actual focus, which is me. And these are demons, these are psychopaths that are pacing. And inside of the library, they have multiple shadows. This is also speaking to the focal point where gang stalking is coexisting with any and everything that is ongoing. And it's also going to supersede with regard to the prosecution of this entity. Sean Thrasher is gang stalking at the OVITT Community Library, engaging in more than one kidnapping here, where gang stalking is still underway as well. And the impunity that I'm documenting by the people of the state, by the Ontario International Airport, it's the impunity that's shared by the Ontario Police Department that's entirely corrupt. That's why they're stalking every night in helicopters and stalking every night using police vehicles. That impunity is relevant to time in federal prison, and it's also relevant to the the mandated disbanding of that department. It's not only corrupt, it's malicious and acting with impunity, outright disregard for the inappropriate and unlawful conduct of this corrupt police department. They have no regard. These are demons and they're psychopaths, and that's why that's relevant, but I want to make sure that is obviously recognized. That's why I'm bringing it up. Everything that the entity is doing, it's relevant to prosecuting their attitude as they engage in criminal conduct and seeking to target an American citizen and the purposes for which they're engaging in it, which there's no legitimate purpose, but all of it's relevant to impunity and malice and ultimately justice. It's currently, again, 1:39 p.m. at 215 E.C. Street, over Family Community Library. This is P.O.C. All right, gang stalking by the City of Ontario, which the people of the state are engaging in with them. I want to document state action directly upon my exit of OVITT Family Community Library, where the entity is keeping me under surveillance, so knowing exactly the moment every time my panties were down inside of the library, while they're stalking inside of a library, maintaining surveillance. As I walk out of that library, two Ontario Police vehicles, this is the City of Ontario crossing path, driving north on Euclid Avenue, gang stalking, crossing path, and doing so. And it's all in the engineer light, so they're engaged in ongoing surveillance. The P.O.C. is established. The Ontario Police gang stalking, crossing path, communicating a threat in doing so. They're still stalking somebody that's prosecuting them for it. And they're crossing path as I walk out. As I'm at D Street and Euclid walking north, at 9:04 p.m. right now, Ontario International Airport, gang stalking hovering over, flying west over Euclid Avenue at D Street. And it's currently 9:05 p.m. This is P.O.C. The people of the state are gang stalking right along with them. EA05J70. That's a paper plate on a Hyundai Elantra. Gang stalking at stall number 6 at Chevron, where California Highway Patrol was gang stalking at Chevron this morning under the 6:39 a.m. fake sun. P.O.C. (9 ESY 462). molesting my person, stalking me in the middle of the night. I'm at F Street in Euclid. They're stalking in the path with light activity. The moment that I take my jacket off, I'm being molested with impossible light activity, and that is taking the form of seeing my upright shadow magnified in size on the wall that's adjacent to me as I engage in new movement that is taking off my coat because I'm warm. And a stalker who is always in the path on behalf of the state with the police department is stalking at F Street in Euclid at 9:09 p.m. to molest me with light, which is a sex offense as well, while they're stalking in the middle of the night. They're proceeding by driving west on F Street at 9:09 p.m. and then they turn into what appears to be Laurelwood Apartments. They turned right here off of, they went past Laurelwood and made a right. So they turned north into what is this community over here at Laurelwood Apartments. That's a sex offense committed by the entity. It's P.O.C. All right, light activity. As I turn onto Laurelwood walking, the entity has the street lamp turned off. That's light activity while all the people of the state whose license plate I'm preparing to read are monitoring me. And that's also terrorism. License 9LIW 285. And they're all monitoring with the sex offender that's molesting me with impossible light as I'm walking down the street as well. License plate 8042813, I believe. 8D42813. The people of the state in the parking lot where Pizza Hut is at 715 North G Street, 715 West G Street, are gang stalking. That's 715 North Euclid Avenue. Gang stalking in the path at the driveway, aiming light toward me. Light from headlights, which is not going to reach at this end of what is F in Laurelwood. Those are demons stalking, surrounding me with light like the demon possessed do, while they're gang stalking with the police department. It's 6 NID 641 is gang stalking with those demons that are stalking me. License 9NKW 076. 8XKZ 384. 7TNL 416. 1SCULLY 1 Scully. License 7AUN 765. It's 9:11 p.m. Oh, just to note, the stalking with light activity, the street lamps, this is something that also started in Pomona. By started, I mean this is where it first occurred. The demon possessed that are gang stalking me in every city are engaging what are using the street lamps, which is a function of the city, the municipality controlling the street lamps. And while I would walk past them, that's how heavily they're stalking me, because it's not motion detectors in the concrete. They're watching every move that I make, and the street lamps were an indicator of that as they would turn on and off as I would walk by them. That was occurring in Pomona, where the demon possessed were stalking in planes and helicopters before the Ontario police put themselves on the map for being the first to be disbanded for gang stalking in the United States. I'm gonna go document the people who are molesting. That sex offender you hear, they're engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario police. This is P.O.C. License plate. Oh, they have a paper plate while they're cutting the path. Ontario police engaged in criminal summoning. License plate. They're gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. 16605T1 and 5AKP722. And the Ontario police are engaged in criminal summoning right where the TABOR professional building is, while these demons are stalking in the path with light. P.O.C. Let me show you this. This is federal prison. All right, Ontario police engaged in criminal summoning, speeding off as I'm taking pictures of them, gang stalking. The entire department's being disbanded. The entire department. And I want to be clear, it is federal prison for these two demons right here, these two vehicles, 5AKP722. They're the entities stalking in the path with light while the police are monitoring with the intent to murder and kidnap, and they're stalking in the path with impunity and malice like they don't care about going to prison for gang stalking. 16605T1, that's federal prison for these two doofuses in these vehicles, gang stalking with these sex offenders, the Ontario police. Those are the demons that stalk me in the bathroom, stalking in the path in the dark in a parking lot with the Ontario Police Department. This is why they're being disbanded, because of this criminal conduct that the Ontario police facilitate and encourage and incentivize. They were engaged in criminal summoning right across from the TABOR professional building, by the way, which is all filled with engineered light. And who are they pulling over? The demon possessed who are gang stalking under a fake sun all day long. The entity does not have any sense or appearance of legitimacy whatsoever. The Ontario police are focused on me and my vagina. I am not exaggerating. As soon as I start taking pictures and getting those license plates, that's federal prison. I'm not kidding. For those two. And that's why. Federal prison. Those are the cowards that are running when I document them. Those are demons who are fleeing. Those are the demons of the Ontario police, by the way. They incentivize and facilitate criminal conduct. They're speeding on the streets while they're gang stalking with the Ontario police. All right, while the Ontario police are feigning and poorly acting like they're a legitimate law enforcement agency, they are the reason for the criminal conduct inside in the city of Ontario. They're the reason for the criminal activity. That's audible activity and engineered light. And those two license plates that I just read, that's federal prison. And the Ontario police engage in criminal summoning right where I'm located, the TABOR professional building, while they're stalking in the path. They cannot stop showing their obsession with me. They can't stop showing it. And because they're so obsessed, this is why they're being disbanded. The criminal conduct of the people of the state is the fault of the Ontario police. Mike Lorenz's fault. And the demon before him, it's Derek Williams' fault. While they're criminals engaging in surveillance and the lawlessness of the demons who are the people of the state. They're in the dark, speeding on a residential street because they're gang stalking with the Ontario police. It's all going back to the Ontario police. So the entity engaging in criminal summoning at what is 3, let me get you the address, because that's a federal offense for them. They're all gang stalking. I documented them this morning under the fake sun on this same street. 311 West G Street is where the Ontario police were engaging in criminal summoning. Who are they pulling over? This is not rocket science. They're being disbanded. They're going to federal prison. Nathan Morgan, B. Cook, C. Torres, and L. Martinez are all going to federal prison. The Ontario Police Department continuously proves that every single allegation is absolutely true, in addition to what is my evidence that unilaterally proves that they're nothing but demons and sex offenders and stalkers. All right, and they're engaged in criminal summoning of the people of the state who already showed the fact that they're demons and they're stalkers, so that then you're going to pull them over on the side of the road. That's relevant positioning, light activity, and ongoing audible activity while you're stalking in the same place that you are every night where you know that I'm sleeping, across the street where you committed kidnapping, across the street from where you're engaging in stalking in helicopters when I'm in Tracy Banks' apartment, and you're engaging in what is criminal summoning. Because these, like I said, intellectually impotent, disease-infected demons don't have any new ideas. I've broken down their entire system, and they're engaging in it over and over and over again. It's called a pattern of conduct, and they're being disbanded for it. It's P.O.C. It's currently 9:17 p.m., and as I take pictures of those demons stalking in the path in the parking lot in front of me, that's Ontario police stalking me. They're just not in, they're in vehicles where the entity is acting vicariously. That is federal prison. That is federal prison. They're sharing in criminal surveillance. They're sharing in harassment and terrorism. They're sharing in psychological torture. They're engaging what is stalking in the path on behalf of the police while those demons pull over other third parties in alignment to me, waiting for me to come to G Street, stalking the entire time from my walk from the library to the TABOR professional building, when I've already shown that they're stalking all day long under a fake sun and at night under a fake moon, where the Ontario International Airport follows where I'm at. The Ontario Police Department follows where I'm at, including in helicopter, which I'm getting on a daily and nightly basis. Criminal summoning is the basis whereby the Ontario police commit multiple kidnappings as well. They're going to federal prison. Engaging in criminal summoning is supposed to be a function of what is law enforcement when you're engaging in what is enforcing the law, not breaking the law, violating the law. Ontario International Airport gang stalking right here. I'm going to capture video right now. This is P.O.C. All right, stalking at E Street and Euclid. Now they're flying over what is 323 West G Street. This is where the Ontario police were engaged in criminal summoning, right here where I'm at the TABOR professional building, where the fake sun was rising right here on this street as well. This is where they're stalking. There's Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 from 2500 Terminal Road. You're not taking off from right here. You're stalking right here. And that's called light activity, audible activity, relevant positioning, stalking with the government. All of them stalking in the path, and it's targeting me. And this is the same pattern of conduct. This is all the shadows where you're looking at criminal monitoring, and where the entity is monitoring, the entity is stalking. And this is again where the Ontario police is incentivizing such criminal activity, and this is why they're being disbanded. Paul Leon's criminal engagement as a gang stalker, He's going to be removed from office for the criminal activity of the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario International Airport, the American Medical Response that's contracted with the City of Ontario for ambulatory services, not criminal surveillance. They're psychopaths stalking in ambulances, engaging in criminal summoning, and they're incentivizing violence against women, stalking in the middle of the night. Nobody's stopping them from proceeding. They're stalking in the specific environment. They're gang stalking with the entity that just flew over where there's no airport and you are not rising in elevation from Terminal 2 off of Euclid Avenue. The entity is gang stalking by the airport and gang stalking in concert with the Ontario Police Department. It is currently, by the way, 9:19 p.m. That's audible activity. That's light activity. And they're in the engineer light. P.O.C. Alrighty, the Ontario International Airport gang stalking with the people of the state. This is the people of the state that the Ontario police are pulling over with regard to the malicious guise of gang stalking amongst a corrupt police department and a corrupt population. It's called the pattern of conduct, where the police are engaging in what is light activity and relevant positioning. They're stalking me in the path, and they're doing so while the people of the state stop on the street, and the state stops behind them and turns on their vehicle lights, and the two demons together, or however many there are in the vehicles, are gang stalking me. And that is shown very clearly when it's the fake sun over my head. And at nightfall, it's still very clearly where the entity is already documented engaging in what is a pattern of stalking by the illegitimate Ontario Police Department, and also in the specific environment where the people of the state, that angle of the case is already established. The people of the state are the light-slinging demons who you hear stalking in the path right now. That's who the Ontario Police Department are relying on to maintain a persuasive appearance of legitimacy. Those demons are stalking together. It's called criminal summoning. That's what Tracy Banks is doing when she summons them to her apartment and makes up information in order to accomplish a kidnapping, for which Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, C. Torres, and L. Martinez are going to federal prison while they just committed criminal summoning right now. That's exactly what the Ontario police were engaged in on May 29, 2025. Gang stalking me with the people of the state at Woodside Senior Apartments. They're going to prison. And moments later, the Ontario police are gang stalking via the Ontario International Airport, who was flying over 323 and 325 West G Street, where that is far from 2900 Airport Road, far from 2500 Airport Road, where you're taking off immediately into the sky space from the airport, not deviating necessarily, flying northwest to hover throughout the city, and then over 323 West G Street begin rising in elevation like you're taking off over here. This is the airport very clearly stalking, and you also see that very clearly when the fake sun is over me and you're looking at aerial surveillance. It's also very clearly when I have 4 shadows in front of me and 2 shadows behind me. This is the P.O.C. The people of the state are gang stalking with the City of Ontario. It is currently 9:21 p.m. All right. Like I said, the cowards that are stalking on the side of the road don't want me to get their license plates, so they begin driving off. But I'm going to go ahead and get this demon that's over here gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport, loitering in front of what is 325 West G Street in a blue bug, stalking in the path with light activity. This is where I've documented the fake sun rising over me when I'm sleeping in the car, because the fake sun rises wherever it is that I'm sleeping. License 8GCG955. This is P.O.C. All right, this is light activity outside of 325 West G Street while the Ontario International Airport was crossing path. This is the criminal cooperation. You'll pay attention to the entity that is gang stalking on the ground all around me while the entity maintains clear deviation from taking off from an airport, shown to be targeting. And also the proof of targeting, how you know that I'm being gang stalked, is because the fake sun is always over me when you're looking at the helicopter and the plane activity. It's called aerial surveillance. It's relevant positioning and audible activity, while the demons, who are the people of the state, are all pacing around, driving and walking and speaking, running, skipping, skateboarding, rollerblading, and if anybody rollerblades anymore, and engineer light. They're pacing. All right, it's P.O.C. and it's the criminal cooperation between the government directly and the government vicariously, which is what the people of the state are. They're not private citizens, and they're all going to be prosecuted. It is currently 9:23 p.m. This is P.O.C. 8LBJ531. This is a Camry, looks like a Latino male with a backwards cap on. He's stalking with the Ontario International Airport that's hovering over Fern Avenue. As I walk past Fern Avenue, that's where the Ontario International Airport is hovering over Fern Avenue. And this is in conformity to the documentation that I captured in 2019, 2020, when I would be sleeping in the vehicle, and that's where the fake sun would rise over 630 North Fern Avenue through the vehicle window of that vehicle as I slept there, and that's where the Ontario International Airport would also patrol, that is engage in demonic pacing, one plane after another, after another, after another, hovering over the street as I would document it in images and in video, where the entity would fly south of my person, which is also where the fake moon is at nighttime. That's where the engineer light, where the people of the state are pacing around me, and that's also where the fake sun would rise in the morning. This is where the Ontario International Airport is moments later, maintaining ongoing gang stalking by plane. License 45823R2, a sex offender stalking in the path, using a vehicle as a means of anticipating to touch on my body with light while they're engaging in keeping me under surveillance with the police. License 6CQW375. This is P.O.C. at 636 North Vine Avenue. This is P.O.C. 7-Eleven is gang stalking while the entity flies over 7-Eleven with commercial planes, and they're all in here on cameras, gang stalking. P.O.C. That is the airport hovering over the 7-Eleven. This is 66 North Vine. That's called stalking with light. It's very demonic. And so is this environment. Let me show you the light activity over here. This is impossible light where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. This is my shadow appearing at a distance away from the vehicles. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see. This is light activity. Here's my arm up here. Here you go. This is light activity. Let me let it focus a little bit, because you need to see the light activity when you're recognizing surveillance. And when you see this impossible light, it's way in front of me. That's a stalker. They're monitoring. And so is the city of Ontario, that's deviating from the Ontario International Airport, hovering in this sky space when they are supposed to be taking off from the airport's terminals 2 and 4 at 2500 Airport Road, where you're not hovering over this sky space. And you're also not doing so with the frequency that I'm documenting. They're doing so while I am covered in engineered light, which is evident right here on the outside of 7-Eleven, where I documented the fake sun, which is rising on this street where I sleep as well. That's not headlights. You can see it. That's not headlights. That's called stalking with impossible light activity. Those are powerful headlights. That's called engineered light. This is all pacing on behalf of the city of Ontario. And this is the street where the Ontario where the Ontario Police Department just engaged in criminal summoning. And this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. The criminal activity of the people of the state is what is serving to remove the police department, meaning you're not needed when you're adding to the crime rate. And that's what the Ontario police are. They add to the crime rate. They're responsible for the crime rate. They're gang stalking in the city of Ontario. And they're gang stalking with the people of the state. And this is not taking off from the terminals. This is hovering in the sky space, maintaining aerial surveillance, and incentivizing mental illness where the demon-possessed are stalking with light. All right, you're doing so when this is all shade over here. Okay, and there's nothing behind me that's going to cause my shadow to appear at a distance on the wall. It's demonic. That's a demon flying a plane. These are demons pacing in traffic. Those are demons stalking with light. And these are demons that are engaged in gang stalking as a citywide government project. You see that impossible light activity? That's not caused from headlights. Those are demons. It was all over the house. Those are not headlights. They're stalking with light. Mental illness is clearly shown amongst the demon-possessed who are gang stalking, and it's going to be used to diagnose gang stalking police officers, and it's going to be used to prosecute gang stalking police officers who suffer the same exact mental illness while they're engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct, and it is shown through the people of the state as well. License 9CCV844, I believe, P.O.C. Or substantially similar. The entity is maintaining impossible light. You can see the shadow of that demon over there. That's impossible light activity. The shadow of their person moved all over. And in addition to that, you can see my shadow right here. That's me. These are demons who are stalking, and they are openly showing their mental illness. And I am letting you know what the Ontario police are engaged in. It's criminal monitoring. The people of the state are engaged in criminal monitoring, and that does not cause light all over this house. They're stalking in the path, and they're stalking with the Ontario police and the Ontario National Airport, which is the city of Ontario. And it's mental illness that's no longer closeted by the demon-possessed who are monitoring American citizens. They're targeting American citizens. This is gang stalking. And the mentally ill, the psychopathic, those who are walking around with closeted mental illness are targeting American citizens. And they're currently a part of the Ontario Police Department, which is going to be disbanded for this criminal system that the Ontario Police is engaging in with impunity. This is P.O.C. 9GHN 7V2. Gang stalking and the impossible light activity that I capture on video. This is where the Ontario International Airport is stalking in the path by hovering over G Street, and doing so while I am being coated in engineer light. That is my shadow appearing at a great distance away from me, upright on the wall, which in the opposite, there's no light that's going to cause that light activity, and there's literally no light fixtures or anything that I'm standing around. I'm standing in the dark, and my shadow is appearing in the dark, and I document that during the day too. When my shadow appears in the shade, it's demonic. And this is where demons are flying commercial planes, demons that are to be removed from the threat that they pose to the public, demons that have pilot licenses, demons that are in law enforcement, demons that are preparing your food like Starbucks is. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is doing so with impunity, and that's relevant to how long demons of the Ontario Police, for example, are going to prison, and the demons that are gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. Gang stalking pilots go to federal prison as well, and the entity is engaging in, and they will be producing. It's all going to work its own self out in a prosecution. Their identities are not mysterious. It's going to be produced. This is what happens in prosecutions, and they're going to prison. Not only are they gang stalking, but they're monitoring the evidence that I am collecting while they're keeping me under surveillance, and they continuously engaged in gang stalking in the face of that evidence, also relevant to their mental illness. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing gang stalking, where the Ontario Police engaged in criminal summoning on this very same street. Gang stalking is what Ontario Police are doing with impunity. And they're gang stalking while the Ontario International Airport is engaging in the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police are sitting around in relevant position, in vehicles, and in helicopter, stalking and monitoring me while the Ontario International Airport hovers clear from anywhere near the airport, hovering in this sky space. It is currently 9:39 p.m. This is P.O.C. 9:41 p.m. Ontario International Airport. Again, this is the airport that is a national security threat. They're engaged in domestic terrorism. They're stalking and gang stalking specifically with commercial airline planes. And these are mentally unstable, psychopathic characters who are flying commercial planes for that reason and doing it maliciously while wanting to do it under the guise of, I guess, taking destinations, but deviating, a grand deviation from the airport, making a shortcut stop to gang stalk me while they're en route to the ultimate destination. This is what Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines are gang stalking, documented doing over the 280 North Limit Apartments today under the fake sun, as I documented at 1:30 in the afternoon. This is the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking and is doing so pursuant to what is a national security threat. The entity is rising in elevation while you hear the train. There's another plane that I see dipping below at Laurelwood, and it's rising in elevation right now where I'm at to be in alignment. That's the demons that are stalking in planes, and they rise in elevation to be right over right here. This is P.O.C. This is the airport that Alan D. WAPNER. This is another corrupt official that is gang stalking in the city of Ontario, making money from domestic terrorism and psychological torture, the corrupt business practices of every airline at the Ontario International Airport. And this is a clear deviation. I'm looking at the planes that are hovering down. They're flying down and then they're rising back up in elevation while the people of the state are pacing with light activity. And the light activity that you see that I'm showing all over the buildings in the dark, they're monitoring. And the Ontario International Airport poses a threat to the lives of American citizens, while mentally ill psychopaths who are terrorizing American citizens, they're also taking the lives of American citizens when plane crashes occur, and they're not accidents. These are demons who are flying planes, and they're stalking me. That's a lot of money to use a commercial plane to engage in that, and that's exactly what the Ontario International Airport is engaging in, and they're doing that in concert and incentivizing gang stalking amongst the population. Again, this is irresponsible in addition to criminal that Alan D. WAPNER is not coincidentally engaged in. Omnitrends is a very heavily documented gang stalker as well, and that is shown through the maintenance of a fake sun, no matter what bus route, no matter what time of day, no matter what direction I'm going in. The demon possessed are gang stalking, and this includes the airport, and that's why it's shown flying over Woodside Senior Apartments, which would be behind me when I'm on G Street. But the demons are stalking in commercial planes, maintaining a position south of my person. So that's why when I'm on G Street, the fake, the entity is maintaining these fake plane takeoffs at Euclid and Laurelwood, because that's where the plane just dipped down in lower elevation and rose right back up. While I was speaking, you heard the train. This demon in a commercial plane dipped down, flew down at a downward trajectory, and then rose right back up to fly right over 323 and 325 West G Street. And this is, again, the entity that's maintaining this frequency of flight over these houses, where this is, again, where they're flying over Woodside Senior Apartments. That's a multi-family zone. It's a senior citizen complex. This is what Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines did in less than 120 seconds, 2 minutes, less than that, because my video was not long this afternoon when you saw the fake sun over the top of my head. That's speaking to the fact that I'm being targeted, and it's also shown the fact that I'm being targeted when they're flying at a clear location far from where any airport, Terminal 2 or Terminal 4, where planes are taking off from those terminals. That's what they're there for. So there is no place where you are taking off from the airport and engaging in what is then hovering at miles away from the airport in the city of Ontario over 323 West G Street, like I'm documenting. It's the same with regard to the analysis when I'm at Woodside Senior Apartments in Tracy Banks' apartment, and airplane activity is amplified inside of her apartment, as though planes are taking off from the terminal, and they're also amplified inside of her apartment at 408 West G Street. That's miles away from the airport. Well, you are not going to have planes where they're taking off, not where they're targeting. Where they're targeting, that's what you're going to have, hovering throughout the city, far from the airport, and then rising in elevation over the airport, over the apartment complex, rising in elevation where I am at, because that's supposed to make you think in your mind subconsciously that the plane activity that you hear is because the plane is taking off. Except planes don't take off over 323 West G Street. Planes take off at 2900 and 2500 Airport Road, and terminals 2 and Terminal 4. Miles and miles and miles away from what is 323 West G Street, where there's no zoning area for planes rising in elevation over here. The entity is clearly targeting also in the specific environment and the frequency of the plane activity. This is what, again, speaking to the removal of the airport for national security concerns, because you have mentally deranged psychopaths who are obsessed stalkers, and they're using things like commercial airline planes, a whole plane. And they're doing it over and over and over again. And Alan D. Wapner is not ignorant about that. Neither is Paul Leon. But Alan D. Wapner, the president of the Airport Authority, is not ignorant about the use of commercial planes in order to engage in hovering over the houses over here at Fern and G Street. In the middle of the night, as I document at Woodside Senior Apartments, I'm in the apartment, amplified plane activity over Tracy Banks' apartment, replete with the fake sun over my head, all manner of targeting by the airport. Where there is no reconciling this plane activity that you can hear and the planes that you see hovering over the property, over the roofs of the apartment complex. And there's an airport where they're hovering and taking off from that airport. This is the entity that engages in also psychopaths. They repeat obvious incriminating conduct. They repeat it again. That's what psychopaths do. It makes it equally inappropriate and improper and questionable. Okay? Suspect. When the entities engage in this conduct with the commercial planes from the airport, and the psychopaths that listen to me document, they repeat it over and over again. That's the mental illness exhibited. The entity that engages in stalking with impossible light, they do the same thing with impossible light activity. You document, it's on video. That's going to be played in court. It's relevant to recognizing a crime scene and prosecuting for that crime scene where psychological torture and targeting by a government is underway pursuant to criminal monitoring. But the demon-possessed engage in it over and over again. That's how I have thousands of videos of that phenomenon, which is relevant to criminal monitoring that's underway in this country. But the demon-possessed provide it over and over and over again, while they are psychopaths, unhinged, providing evidence against themselves. It doesn't look innocent when you're engaging in what is being under an enduring fake sun for 11 hours and you do it every day. It doesn't look innocent or normal. It doesn't become normal just because you do it every day. And it doesn't become something that's overlooked and disregarded because you did it every single day. What you did was provide a body of evidence for me to prosecute you and for everyone to be able to identify the demon-possessed population that is very real and is engaged in criminal monitoring. And in the states, it's public corruption because the state governments are targeting American citizens in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. It is currently 9:49 p.m. where the Ontario International Airport is hovering by flying at a downward trajectory, declining in elevation, and doing so and then rising back up immediately while the train activity is sounding. As you can run this tape back, because that's what you'll hear the train activity. And while I'm going through legal analysis, I'm looking at a commercial plane fly downward and then flew right back up, and then it proceeded to fly over 323 and 325 West G Street, feigning some sort of improbable, illogical, idiotic takeoff, because you're not taking off anywhere near these houses. Like I said, This is the entity that provides the evidence. And in federal court, everyone would be right. Everyone's going to be right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. She's absolutely correct. That the entities, these are demons and these are psychopaths, and it's a very obvious engagement. The entity is also engaging in the pattern. I'll tell you all of their tactics. They engage in the pattern of conduct, hoping and wishing and thinking and expecting something that's never going to happen. Engaging in what is psychological torture, harassment, and terrorism is not going to create mental illness. The entity is thinking that mental illness is going to be confused with my acting out, and I'm going to act in conformity to all the lies that they've stated in a court where they're gang stalking, and that's why I was never part of any court hearings where somebody's able to secretly acquire a conservatorship where the government happens to be simultaneously gang stalking and engaging in what is some sort of acting out conduct that's going to act in furtherance of the false narrative that was created. All of that is garbage. It's not going to happen. And by the way, that also is not even mental illness. It's not, none of this is working. And I'm showing all the malicious ways in which a government and laws have to change, because any maniacal psychopath, any sex offender can walk in court and say, you know what, I don't think this person can handle all their money that they have. And I think that you should give me control over it because I want to say so. And I'll do it with a corrupt government that does engage in targeting American citizens. So that person whose personal property is being attacked behind their back will never even know about it. The laws have to change, because that's exactly what the state of California did and helped this high school graduate, Tracy Banks, because she hopped on the genitalia of multiple lawyers and judges and the people of the state and recruited demons to target me. And that's how you end up with this. I'm a licensed legal practitioner, somebody that is skilled, college educated. I have never been dependent on this person. She can't even acquire a healthy credit background. She didn't help me finance anything pertaining to my education. She didn't give me a bit of advice. I never asked her for anything. And she's behind my back engaging in a whole secret coup over my life circumstances while I just so happen to be documenting federal group stalking and monitoring. The laws have to change, because it is entirely unacceptable and unconstitutional that any psychopath, any liar can step into court and be able to take over your property unbeknownst to you. While, by the way, they need to change. The laws are going to change because the government has shown itself that it can't be trusted, thanks to the city of Ontario. Thanks to the state of California. This changes the landscape of everything. I just want to be clear, it's currently 9:52 p.m. The entity is engaging in what is a feckless, ongoing campaign that is incriminating and detrimental to itself. They have sacrificed themselves. There will be no acting out by Erica Spencer that's going to act in furtherance of some false narrative about my character. See, there she is. She is unstable. She isn't. That's not happening. I'm documenting the pattern of conduct. And by the way, any American citizen would be justified to act out with regard to being outraged by the criminal conduct that they are being targeted by. A corrupt police department that's stalking you? That's not mental illness. Okay, the entity has lost its humanity, but these aren't people, these are demons. And they don't, obviously, they don't apply logic and they don't apply any legal reasoning. This is all out public corruption. And I'm going to prosecute it, and it's also going to require necessary change. While you're hearing demonic noise of a train that you cannot hear, the Ontario train, the Union Pacific Railroad, you can't hear that over here. These are demons that are pacing. It's the evidence of pacing. While you see the impossible light activity, it's the evidence of pacing. While you see an airport far deviating from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4, this is evidence of pacing. They're stalking. It's currently 9:53 p.m. This is the prosecution of the state of California and the entity that has surrounded itself with evidence. While I started the documentation, I initiated the investigation of the state that was targeting me, and I knew it at the outset. This is the entity that is now prosecuting itself. They're doing the work for me because I've already laid out the trap, and they are stuck in their cycle. And as I've explained and exposed what they're doing, and all they keep doing is the same thing because they are psychopaths and they're obsessively stalking, and it's going to be to their own demise. It is currently 9:53 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the TABOR Professional Building. And here is the Ontario Police, gang stalking by helicopter. Criminal summoning at 313 West G Street is also the Ontario Police gang stalking in the specific environment. The impossible light activity that I'm showing you, the Ontario International Airport deviating by stalking in the sky space with the Ontario Police Department is the same pattern of conduct. And this is, again, on a nightly basis, the entity gang stalking. This is audible activity and relevant positioning. And this is criminal stalking by the police department. And it is in concert with the people of the state. state. It is pursuant to criminal monitoring in violation of Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, while the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking using police vehicles as well. The entity is doing is engaging in the pattern of conduct in the specific environment. So this is, again, the impossible light activity. My multiple shadows are on the floor and upright at a distance. They're monitoring. They're monitoring using helicopters as well. The Ontario Police gang stalking in conformity to a documented pattern of conduct by corrupt law enforcement agencies in California, maintaining criminal surveillance and harassment and terrorism by helicopter. It's currently 10:22 p.m. And the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and doing so with the people of the state. This is what the entity is doing under the fake sun during the day. And this is what the entity is doing with regard to being disbanded as a corrupt police department. This is in concert with the people of the state. So I want to be clear. Nathan Morgan on May 29, 2025 is gang stalking, just like you see here with helicopter. This is the Ontario Police engaging in criminal surveillance and domestic terrorism of an American citizen while they know that that American citizen is documenting it. They're engaged in obstruction of justice on my YouTube channel, rendering my published video of them gang stalking by podcast, making them private when I make them public, and they're engaging in what is this demonic pacing, flying in circles over the top of my head. And this is a documented pattern everywhere that I'm at. It's not a coincidence. Last night they're engaged in gang stalking, flying over me, gang stalking in the specific environment by helicopter. We're also the city of Ontario. There's no airport that is reconciling why they're taking off from, and by taking off, rising in elevation, concentrating on plane activity right here. It's the same thing with regard to concentrating helicopter activity over me. When I'm at the museum, this is what the entity is doing, flying in circles over me at the museum. When I'm at the Starbucks and the entity is keeping the fake sun and the people of the state are stalking with impossible light activity, this is what the Ontario Police Department is doing, is gang stalking and helicopter. And the entity is doing so in video. This is in concert with the entity that is engaged in what is gang stalking, which is supposed to create the illusion of mental illness, and this is sorely mistaken. The entity is exhibiting mental illness while they're engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct, which is psychopathic and very highly demented. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct of crossing path, creating light activity and audible activity, and they're doing so while the entity sought to criminally defame my character, Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, engaging in what is criminally procuring a conservatorship while the Ontario Police Department do their part with regard to gang stalking an American citizen, which is supposed to be that which you're not able to prove, and is supposed to accomplish criminally defaming that a targeted individual. The entity is going to be subject to disbanding for this. This is relevant to Tracy Banks' criminal means of procuring a conservatorship with the gang stalking corrupt courts. The entity is doing so while they've been targeting me the whole time, and the Ontario Police Department is key engaging in that in a documented pattern of kidnapping. In addition to Jason Isaac Fields, that is a gang stalker targeting me with the Ontario Police Department in real time. Right now, he is monitoring me with the police and is engaging in what is maintaining a criminal means of monitoring me with the Ontario Police Department while maintaining some secret marriage that I know nothing about, that I never participated in, while he is conspiring with me against the state and with his sex partner, Tracy Banks. So he is engaging in what is being a fake spouse. Tracy Banks is engaging in being some fake conservator, where they both maintain this relationship with me unbeknownst to me, while the government, the Ontario Police Department, is engaging in what is gang stalking. Remember, gang stalking is supposed to accomplish what is defaming your character, because when you make allegations of gang stalking, you were supposed to be discarded as mentally ill. This doesn't work when you have hundreds of videos of the police department stalking in helicopter, and that's exactly what this is. This impossible light activity coexisting with the ongoing presence of the police department following me everywhere that I'm going in the city, and also as I'm documenting multiple police departments in every other city and county where I'm at. It's the Ontario Police that is going to be disbanded for kidnapping upon gang stalking with the intent to criminally defame, so that Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the government seeks to steal real, personal, and intellectual property from me. And the Ontario Police is going to be disbanded, and this is very clear and plain evidence of them still targeting, and they're doing it on video, where I will be publishing it on the internet. It will be a public exposure and prosecution of the Ontario Police Department. That is the state of California. And this is the criminal conduct for which Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. This is the criminal conduct for which Tracy Banks is subject to federal prison. And Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and you have B. Hook are gang stalking in the same way that the Ontario Police Department is using helicopters to engage in gang stalking. It's called criminal summoning. And the entity is doing so with, again, this is under no circumstances aiding in any false narrative about my character. The entity is clearly targeting and harassing in that specific environment pursuant to an ongoing long documented pattern of conduct. There's no coincidence when they're flying over my head in helicopter at the Starbucks where the entity is keeping the fake sun for the duration of the day. That is no formula for defaming the character of the targeted individual that has the presence of mind to document that pattern by that corrupt police department. The Ontario police are being disbanded. Those kidnappers on May 29th are going to federal prison. And this is the prosecution of every gang stalker that sought to profit from my demise, like Jason Isaac Fields and his sex partner, Tracy Banks, who maintains no legitimate and actual conservatorship. And Jason Isaac Fields maintains no actual and legitimate marriage to me, and everything that was stolen from me while the Ontario police and the people of the state are gang stalking me is going to be returned to me with interest. And Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. All right. And so is Tracy Banks. And there is no deviating from that. This is the entity that is targeting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. That's why Jason Isaac Fields has a fake marriage on paper that I know nothing about. And Tracy Banks has a criminally procured conservatorship pursuant to gang stalking and monitoring me that I know nothing about. All right. She has never spoken of it. She has never told me of property that she sought to steal from me while she engaged in this, while she's gang stalking. That's relevant with that kidnapping that the Ontario Police Department, that's gang stalking now, committed on May 29, 2025 in concert with that police department. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:28 p.m. The entity engaged in the same pattern of conduct last night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, 10, 11 o'clock at night, gang stalking by helicopter. And I'm documenting the ongoing pattern since the kidnapping that I was released from, where Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is acting with the state of California, gang stalking me with the police who make false assertions to engage in what is criminal defamation. That is aiding a fake conservatorship. That's aiding a fake marriage in furtherance of what is theft by the entity that is targeting. This is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded, and the ongoing gang stalking is evidence that is further establishing that. And this is under no circumstances aiding that false narrative regarding the character of the targeted individual, having direct and hard evidence and long existing evidence of criminal monitoring by the police department. This is Ontario Police engaged in what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture and furtherance of murder and kidnapping in order to criminally defame with Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields in particular, while the government seeks to aid with the people of the state in stealing property, real, personal, and intellectual property. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:29 p.m. All right, in targeting, you're not mistaken who's being targeting. This is who's being targeted. The entity is doing this while the fake sun's over the top of my head for the duration of the day. And they're targeting right now in what is light that is irreconcilable with artificial light stamps and the light activity, where I'm showing you my shadow on the side of the 7-Eleven in the dark. They're monitoring. All right. And everywhere that I'm at in Ontario, they're flying over me in helicopter and stalking by commercial planes. The Ontario Police is gang stalking me in particular in concert with the people of the state. And the impossible light activity, for example, inside of the Starbucks is the evidence of it. The entity is criminally monitoring, and the entity is providing a foolish level of volume of evidence against people like Jason Isaac Fields, who have the motive to engage in a false marriage with me because he's trying to steal from the targeted individual. He's going to prison for it. And he's targeting with the Ontario Police Department, incentivizing this public corruption. It is currently 10:30 p.m. This is P.O.C. The people of the state are gang stalking with the Ontario Police. P.O.C. Alrighty, documenting substantial video. The Ontario Police Department again on another night, gang stalking me, targeting with helicopter activity. And this is following criminal summoning by the Ontario Police. They're crossing path as I walk out. They're stalking in the path. In other words, as I exit the library, they're stalking in the path as they engage in criminal summoning across the street from the TABOR professional building. They're crossing path and pacing in helicopter, flying in circles above me and pacing in the sky space over me at the TABOR professional building, where the police department is gang stalking. This is what the entity is doing. Again, this is on another night. So again, the pattern of conduct as I'm documenting, the Ontario Police Department in particular is providing a wealth of evidence on a daily basis, stalking me by helicopter, which is the pattern of conduct that I've been documenting for years with regard to the entity targeting. And now you are learning about the motive behind the entity targeting me, which is theft of property, real, personal and intellectual property. And it's also to be noted that the entity is gang stalking and is aware of the fact that they're being documented. This is relevant with regard to the bold and foolish. It's bold, but it's very foolish because the entity there's no question that whether the Ontario police, are they using helicopters and targeting an American citizen? The body of evidence, the volume that I have, the specific environment, the supernatural character of this environment, and the fact that it is occurring everywhere that I'm going, that's speaking to what is an unmistakable ability, and it is very precise and specific. And this is again what the multiple police departments are sharing in. The Ontario police is conclusively proven to be stalking me. In addition to that, they know that they're being documented. They're on the internet, on my YouTube channel, trying to make my published evidence private so that you can't see it. So they're flying over my head, stalking, and then they're engaging in an ongoing campaign, engaging in federal stalking pursuant to knowledge about them being documented while they're still stalking in helicopters as a police department, and then trying to render that published evidence as private so that you don't see it. That's speaking to, again, the entity that is very much targeting me. That's why I document every aspect of that pattern of conduct, including the admission of knowledge about being documented, which is also relevant to proving that the entity is targeting me. The entity is doing so on another night. So again, there's no coincidences here. And there are no coincidences when you have a fake sun that sits over a building for 11 hours. So the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. and you're engaging in what is nightly harassment in helicopters. When I am at Woodside Senior Apartments, the entity is flying in circles over the apartment building, where the apartment building is vibrating. It's sensational activity where they're pacing back and forth over that apartment building. And what's over that apartment building during the day? The fake sun. That's not the case when I'm not inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. This is the same third party that's maintaining a criminally procured by fraud conservatorship while she's gang stalking with the Ontario police, who repeatedly engage in kidnapping in order to criminally defame. That's the whole reason why you engage in gang stalking, because it's a system that you're not supposed to be able to prove. But that boat has sailed. I have proven not only the City of Ontario to be engaged in criminal surveillance, but the state of California. And while the entity is engaging in that, there is no mental illness that is manufactured by the entity that is targeting. And the entity is also shown to be actually mentally ill, while this psychopathic pattern of conduct that is demonic is fully documented and expounded upon, while all of the facets of public corruption are simultaneously exposed. Competing with my voice is no planes that are taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. It's the Ontario International Airport that is necessarily stalking in the path where I have multiple shadows, and they are necessarily hovering, creating the elements of monitoring in concert with the Ontario police that are engaging in aerial surveillance, targeting as well. The entity is doing so while I'm speaking to the purposes of a corrupt government that engages in gang stalking for the corrupt and bankrupt purposes of Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, maintaining a corrupt means of what is a conservatorship. It's criminal. The government aiding in that, and also a false marriage. The government aiding in that in order to steal from me. This is what is incentivizing the police to stalk me and gang stalk me and repeatedly kidnap me upon making up information as to why. And this is also incentivizing the entity to gang stalk with regard to criminal defamation, where demons like Tracy Banks seek to steal property from me by claiming that I'm mentally ill. And this is relying on the gang stalking system. But the gang stalking system, I've totally broken it down, and it under no circumstances bears any reflection on the targeted individual. It's exposing closeted mental illness by the demon possessed that are targeting, and they are targeting in fact. And targeting is recognized in the environment, which is supernatural. Targeting is also recognized by the behavioral pattern of the entity that is in that supernatural environment. They are demon possessed. They're demonic. Their pattern of conduct is demonic. The light activity is demonic. The volume of the activity that they engage in is supernatural, i.e. demonic. And in addition to what is the plain, daily, ongoing routine documented pattern of harassment with helicopter, the entities engaged in what is documented traditional stalking by helicopter, and they're doing it in the specific environment. That's how heavily stalking the Ontario Police Department is. And it is, again, under no circumstances aiding and creating any narrative about my character. The entity has relied on my ignorance about what has been doing behind my back, and while I've been documenting federal group stalking and monitoring. And the evidence with regard to factual information, the entity is under no circumstances in possession of any facts that establish mental illness. The entity is gang stalking, number one, and gang stalking me as I am a law-abiding citizen and engaged in what is gainful employment as a practicing attorney and also in property management as a property manager. There is no evidence of mental illness whatsoever. The entity has concocted this while they were gang stalking and sought to control the narrative, and necessarily doing it behind my back when I'm ignorant about it. And that's also speaking to the fraudulent means, because the entity has no involvement with me with regard to a conservatorship. If I can clearly communicate and express my thoughts and experiences, then there's no reason why, if there's a legitimate conservatorship, that I would not know about it, that I would not participate, that I wouldn't even agree to it if I didn't find it to be something that I could benefit. I'm able to think for myself and agree whether or not a conservatorship would be beneficial or not with regard to my own property that the demon possessed, that the entity that Tracy Banks has not told me about. This is criminal and fraudulent at every regard. There is absolutely zero evidence regarding mental illness. The entity is engaging in gang stalking. Understand the purpose of it. Gang stalking is to create an illusion of mental illness, and that is because the entity is stalking in unheard of, unprecedented manners that are all demonic. The light activity is demonic. The ongoing psychological torture, that's demonic. And it's supposed to render the appearance with regard to what is paranoid schizophrenia, because strangers are stalking, and strangers are actually stalking. The people of the state have proven to be engaging in that pattern of conduct, and I have connected all the dots showing you they are very much aware of who you are. They're not strangers. That's an illusion as well. The gang stalking by the government is showing that the people of the state are specifically targeting one person. The specific environment with the fake sun over my head and the fake moon at night are showing that the people of the state are specifically targeting one person who they know exactly who that is. That light activity, which is supernatural, multiple shadows all over the place, your shadow appearing magnified in size at a distance away from you, that is showing that the entity knows exactly who you are in that abnormal, peculiar, and outright, obviously suspect environment where, by the way, the government is heavily documented present over you by planes and helicopters. The police are always around you, regardless of whether they're addressing you or not. It's a means of psychological torture, and it is creating the false illusion of mental illness. And it is not mental illness, nor is that actually how you diagnose mental illness, as I'm getting to not only prosecuting, but I am also advocating on behalf of those that are criminally defamed, and they are not able to advocate on their own behalf. This is a tragic injustice for those that suffer in silence, and they're discarded from society. And the entity did it against me, and the entity miscalculated, because not only does it not work, I'm speaking to, it's not even logical, and that's not the practice of medicine. That's not the diagnosis for actual mental illness at all. And if you don't have the evidence of something, allegations that you are making, obviously I've shown you the malice of the pattern of conduct. That in and of itself is establishing. The absence of evidence of a thing does not establish mental illness. This is supernatural. This is demonic. And the demon possessed know that, and that's why they engage in targeting someone in this manner. It's called malice. The government that's gang stalking very obviously by helicopter is providing evidence of what is impunity and malice and a maniacal and unhinged agenda in what is a lost endeavor that will bear no reflection on the targeted individual's character whatsoever. It is speaking to a body of evidence of the Ontario police over me every single night, as I've been documenting for years, on an ongoing basis, where I'm documenting heavy helicopter activity, which is harassing and it is terrorizing, especially when they have a pattern of harassing me and making up information as to why they're taking me into custody. It's directly relevant to what is the targeting that I've been documenting, and it bears no reflection on the targeted individual. It bears no reflection on me, and it bears no reflection on the character of the ordinary targeted individual. It is absolutely illogical, the entity, what the entity engages in and what it is surmising that it's going to work out to do, and it's not going to do that. It's not going to do that. And by the way, with regard to legal reasoning and logic, it bears no reflection on the character of the targeted individual. You do not appear paranoid when you are documenting helicopter activity that is disruptive to you when you're in your home, that is disruptive to you when you're at work, where the police are engaging in a pattern of targeting you by making allegations against you that are false. When you're not breaking the law, when you're not in violation of any sort of laws whatsoever, and the entity is making up information and keeping you in custody, violating the rules of the court, violating the laws while they're making up information in order to take you into custody. And especially I'm aware of that because I know the law. So the entity is violating my rights, and I'm aware of every single right that they're violating. That is not bearing any reflection on the character of the targeted individual. The entity is always relying on the ignorance of the targeted individual. The entity is always relying on being the one that's controlling the narrative. The entity is always relying on being the one that is presumed to be legitimate, but this is the circumstance where the government is not legitimate. The government cannot be trusted. The government is not automatically in the right, as I have shown. The government is suspect. There is probable cause to question what the government asserts. The government is engaged in criminal monitoring, as the P.O.C. proves as well. The government's practicing a demonic system of targeting American citizens. That's speaking to malice. The government is targeting American citizens whom it is keeping under surveillance without their knowledge and consent, without any constitutional authority, no warrant or probable cause, and no legitimate interest in doing so. And they're doing it in a satanic means with regard to wanting to target someone in a way that they cannot define or explain or rationalize in order that they appear mentally ill, which is that's not an accurate definition or example of mental illness. I'm stating all of the above. The entity that's gang stalking me by helicopter is the police department that's going to be disbanded, and it is an outright failure and what is an absence of logic, a false presupposition that gang stalking somebody equals mental illness. It doesn't. That's the absence of logic. The entity is engaging in what is bullying people and people that don't know, that aren't capable of speaking up for themselves. And the entity has been successful in that. But that's not the use of logic. That's not the operation of law. That's not the diagnosis of mental illness either. All right, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is going to be disbanded for gang stalking me in helicopter, and the entity has openly provided me a wealth of evidence of them clearly targeting and harassing on a nightly basis. I was getting this last night. I was getting this the night before last night. I've been getting this on basically a daily basis with regard to post the release from kidnapping on June 3rd, 2025, where I was released from kidnapping from the entity that's clearly targeting me. And you are clearly targeting in a specific environment. And in the face of those facts, mental illness is actually demonstrated on the part of that entity that is acting in a malicious manner, in a manner that is seeking to and desiring to, and acting in a purposeful manner with regard to inflicting harm to another, deriving pleasure from that, engaging in voyeuristic endeavors while they're engaging in it. This is relevant to the evidence that's published online, and then they want to try to hide it online. That's speaking to your knowledge about it being published online. You know that I'm documenting you. You know where I'm publishing my documentation, and you also want to try to hide that documentation while you're still stalking obsessively in the ways in which that I document. This is speaking to mental illness while the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. Who is going around flying light all over the place? Who does that? And what is that? It's demonic. It's malicious. It's psychopathic. The entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct that's demonstrating mental illness on the part of the targeting entity, not on the part of the targeted individual, who is that's a very real status. I'm going to prosecute for the criminal pattern of conduct, and I'm going to prosecute for the ongoing obsessive endeavor in what is a failed effort at the outset. They keep engaging in it, and it's not going to react. It's not going to result in some sort of outlandish reaction. There's nothing outlandish about reacting to the police stalking you, first of all. There's nothing that's going to demonstrate that you're mentally ill or imbalanced because the police department that engages in a documented pattern of harassing you and kidnapping you, meaning outside of the bounds of the law, that's harassment that you're also not imagining. For them to always be around and disrupting your peace with helicopter activity, that's not demonstrating any mental illness either. But it's deeper than that, because these are demons who are targeting in a specific environment, as I have termed it, in conformity to a pattern of conduct in a multiplicity of cities and counties, in conformity to a pattern of conduct that's also existing in an adjacent state in Nevada, where there's no sun that would be over a building ever in the natural environment for 11 hours. And only the mentally ill and maniacal, unhinged, obsessed, delusional, these are fitting adjectives in the face of evidence, and you're still persisting in that which is unsuccessful when you are actually applying logic and thinking about what you're doing. They're not. They're unhinged and they're obsessed. And it's not going to turn out the way that the entity intended it to turn out, because that's not even logic. That's not how the law is applied to facts. That's not the diagnosis of mental illness. And the facts suggest that a normal human being would react in a certain way when they have evidence of experiences that are unjust with regard to law enforcement. But they don't even have that with me. I'm maintaining my composure, and I'm documenting on a daily, nightly basis the ongoing harassment that the entity obviously provides to me. You obviously want to stalk and be around me in helicopter. I'm going to obviously document it and put it on the internet, because you will be obviously disbanded and put in federal prison for it. It's very plain. And there is no reflection on the character of the target individual that's documenting what somebody else is doing to them. Okay, that's not the entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. and is fully establishing that. The entity is failing in what is a system that is built on false logic all the way around, an outright failure of syllogism. It has no reflection whatsoever on the target individual. And the Ontario Police Department is demonstrating mental illness while they're pacing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, north and south on Euclid Avenue while I've been speaking this whole time. Those are the mentally ill. Their mental illness is what is exhibited in my documentation. Who's pacing around in circles, flying over my head in a plethora of videos that is published for the world to see, while they're still gang stalking in a failed attempt, because no one in their right mind would engage in exhibiting mental illness like that and then think that mental illness is going to appear while the other person is documenting you pacing around them in helicopters. And for what? What are you doing that for on a nightly basis? That's called a pattern. And it's clearly weird. And that's going to the entity's mental illness, their behavioral health, not the targeted individual that documents it. I just want to be clear, the demon-possessed, the psychopaths are projecting their condition on the targeted individual. And that's exactly what I want to make sure is abundantly clear. Because it is absurd and it makes no sense whatsoever. It is entirely illogical. It is the product of what is nothing other than a corrupt government that's accustomed to stating something being a certain way, and it's going that way because of who the government is. But that's no more. The government, I have shown them to be nothing other than a bunch of maniacal, lying, mendacious psychopaths who are obsessively monitoring my vagina in bathrooms and stalking me everywhere that I'm going in an entirely demonic environment that proves it. Because the sun is never going to sit over my apartment building from sunrise until sunset, like I documented, where LAPD sharing the same pattern of conduct with helicopters, and also at the same time be anywhere in Ontario at any time of the day. Because that asinine entity is documented in LA, and you're tied to that record. Because you put a fake sun for 11 hours, and then you are trying to project mental illness on the targeted individual. This is ridiculous what the entity is engaging in, and you are not going to get any sort of information or bit that's going to bear negatively on the character of the targeted individual. This is an outright failure at all regard. I have the entity engaging what is stalking with light, demonstrating mental illness, demonstrating instability, demonstrating behavioral health concerns. I have the entity stalking me in helicopters and commercial airplanes, demonstrating mental illness, demonstrating severity with regard to the level of which the entity is willing to go to target an American citizen. And it is proven to be targeting in that specific environment. It gets very specific in that specific environment. Who's the fake sun remaining over for 11 hours? And it's me. It's not everybody else. You don't see 72 different suns going in different directions when everybody's coming in and out of Starbucks all day long. You see it remain over me as I walk in and out of Starbucks. You see it remain over me as I remain in Starbucks and those demons leave Starbucks. Just as one example. The entity is demonstrating its own mental illness as I documented, and having the wherewithal, the presence of mind to do that is directly rebutting the ridiculousness of even asserting that there's mental illness on the part of the targeted individual that's maintaining documentation in order to enforce their rights and prove what they knew at the outset was an unprecedented crime, too far-fetched to believe, so extreme. And that's also why the government engaged in it. It's called malice. That malice is bearing upon the mental illness of that entity that's targeting in planes, targeting in helicopters, targeting while they want to be misconstrued and confused with actual legitimate, noble policemen, because that's not what the Ontario police are. And those mentally ill that are suffering actual behavioral health concerns, they're going to be both diagnosed and prosecuted. And it's the Ontario police that flew over my head again tonight. And they have been, for the past 15 minutes, flying north and south at Euclid Avenue and G Street, demonstrating mental illness. And you already know that. I have the Los Angeles Police Department for 46 minutes flying in circles outside of my apartment in Los Angeles, where I'm documenting the fake sun, rising and setting, never leaving from being over me all day long. I'm documenting this in LA. I'm documenting the Ontario Police Department flying in circles over me, flying in circles around me, flying in circles beside me while they're stalking, and the fake sun is remaining over me all day long. It's a means of identifying who is being targeted. And by the way, when you're engaging in that psychopathic behavior, that obviously weird conduct, your mental illness is going to be put at the forefront of the controversy, not the targeted individual that documents it. All right, and this is speaking to, again, correcting what are a lot of misconceptions, what are a lot of illogical, and the only reason why that is even given any traction is because it's the government that's gang stalking. It's because it's the people of the state that are gang stalking, because these psychopaths seek to falsely depict the character of American citizens that are actually being targeted out here, so that there will be an ongoing, well accepted rumor, if you will. Every time you hear of the notion of a targeted individual or gang stalking, it's supposed to be automatically written off as somebody that is singular, somebody that it is only maintained, in other words, by some singularly maintained by those suffering from some sort of mental incapacity. That's the only type of person, that's the only time it's ever going to be mentioned, because somebody is mentally ill. They are paranoid, because there is no such thing as gang stalking. That's a lie. That's the entity's pattern of conduct. That is literally by design to make that common knowledge, to make that what is discussed. But gang stalking is very real. I've proven that. And gang stalking is also government conduct that is very malicious as well. And that's how you have those false ideas out there. And that's exactly what I want to obliterate. Because it is a tragic injustice while psychopaths are roaming around lacking the appropriate labels on their records, so that the threat that they pose to the public and to themselves is known, readily known. Okay? It is currently 10:53 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is where the Ontario Police is pacing north and south, and has been doing so for the past 15 minutes as I've been engaging in podcasting. Just so that you know, as a matter of time, as a matter of record, it's 10:53 p.m. and the Ontario Police is gang stalking while they're repeatedly crossing path, flying north and south right here at this intersection, crossing path with me, and the people of the state are sharing in that. While I'm on my podcast, you can hear the traffic. Those are the demon possessed. That's the people of the state gang stalking with the Ontario Police, who are maintaining presence right here in alignment with me at this intersection of Euclid Avenue and G Street. And the people of the state, who you know are in Engineer Exhibit A, Engineer Light, crossing path. They're gang stalking. What they're doing in the specific environment in concert with the Ontario Police, who have been for the past 15, the entire time that I've been podcasting, pacing back and forth, outwardly demonstrating mental instability. Those mentally unstable psychopaths are the ones that engaged in kidnapping on May 29, 2025. And not only is the criminal pattern of conduct going to be used to diagnose mental illness of those closeted psychopaths, but it's also going to be used to prosecute. You can see Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are going to federal prison. It is currently 10:54 p.m. This is P.O.C. Here is Ontario Police flying in a circle in alignment to me. This is what they were doing. That's crossing path and light activity and engineer light by the people of the state. And this is a demon maintaining that light activity over there. This is very demonic. But it's light activity, it's relevant positioning. This is at Fern and G Street. And the Ontario Police are to me in the engineered light, crossing path, stalking by helicopter, maintaining aerial surveillance, gang stalking, engaging in federal stalking, criminal monitoring with the people of the state. And they were flying in circles at G Street and Euclid, stalking in the path right here while I'm at the TABOR Professional Building, stalking in the path, while the people of the state are engaging in what is demon possession. This is impossible light activity, where the entity is maintaining methods of light. This is what the demon possessed do when they're monitoring you. They're always stalking with some method of light. And traffic, systematically, for example, when I'm sitting inside a Starbucks, impossible light activity, light that's not coming off of their cars and shooting through the windows of the building. It's not coming through the front door. It's not levitating through the roof of the building. It's impossible light activity. It's demonic, and these are demons. They manifest in this environment that is supernatural, using a flashlight, using their headlights, using any method of light while they're in the path monitoring, and they're doing it with the Ontario Police Department that's stalking in a helicopter. The Ontario Police is monitoring. The Ontario Police is stalking. It's P.O.C. It is currently 11:12 p.m. The Ontario Police is stalking while amplified train activity is then heard while the people of the state are in the path maintaining light. Okay, this entity is engaging with the elements of monitoring. This is demonic activity, which is accomplishing criminal monitoring, and it is in violation of Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. Federal stalking, criminal surveillance. This is the police department engaging in criminal activity. This is P.O.C. It is currently, again, 11:12 p.m. flying in circles to the west of my person and concentrating on where I'm at by helicopter in concert with the people of the state. It needs to be known when I'm documenting the people of the state all day long, like I did at the OVITT Family Community Library and also at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Pay attention to this light because this demon is monitoring. This is substantial light activity. This is what the demon with the Jeep was doing last night right here on Euclid while the Ontario police were gang stalking and the Ontario International Airport were crossing path. That simultaneity of conduct with light. And this is, again, a substantial amount of light that's supposedly coming from a flashlight, moving back behind. She's all in engineered light doing that. This is a demon. This is demonic, but it's criminal presence in the path. Light activity, while the entity is maintaining helicopter activity, stalking with the Ontario Police Department, monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, while they engage in their demonic monitoring system together. When I am documenting the entity gang stalking, when I'm sitting in Starbucks all day long, when you're looking at the California Highway Patrol at 6:39 a.m. and 6 hours later, the fake sun is at the same location over the top of my head in its zenith, like I documented. During the 1 p.m. hour, the entity is gang stalking all day long with the Ontario Police Department, who is then engaging in what is an ongoing campaign with helicopter activity. There is no hinting to who is being targeted. The Ontario police are stalking, and they keep arriving on video that I keep capturing one after another with regard to what is evidence supporting disbanding a gang stalking police department. That's an oxymoron. When you're gang stalking as a police department, you have thereby demonstrated that you are not needed, you're not necessary, and you are literally a liability in that city. They are accountable. They're responsible for the criminal conduct of the people of the state. They're monitoring with this psychopath over here flashing light in the darkness. She's monitoring. She's stalking. All right. It is currently 11:16 p.m. There's no mystery about what the Ontario police are doing. And there's also no mystery about who they're doing it with. The demon-possessed people of the state that are gang stalking with the Ontario police, with the city of Ontario, these are clowns who sit under a fake sun that sits over me for 12 hours. It rises and sets at the same address as I've documented. The Ontario police are fully exposed and they're still providing evidence about why they should be disbanded. This is P.O.C. Stalking with light activity concentrated over here at Fern and G. And the Ontario police is concentrating helicopter activity where I am at. And I am in the specific environment. This is the same street where the fake sun rises. And as I've also documented, the Ontario police gang stalking over Tracy Banks' apartment when I'm inside of it, where earthquakes react when they fly over me inside of that apartment. And that's also where the fake sun sets. Remember them gang stalking by helicopter at 5:56 p.m. on May 16, 2025, when they were also flying over the top of my head, where the fake sun was over the top of my head, when they were doing so at 10:54 a.m. on the same day, May 16, 2025. The entity is keeping the fake sun now over 507 North Euclid Avenue at 10:54 a.m., where the Ontario police are gang stalking in helicopter and coming into the Starbucks Cafe at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is there, as I documented, the California Highway Patrol at 6:39 a.m. in alignment to me inside of that cafe, and it's still there at 7:26 p.m. through the drive-through window visible. That's why you document, because it's demonic, and that's where you have the evidence of an unprecedented crime committed by a police department that's engaged in criminal monitoring, that is targeting by the state and targeting in satanic methods like this third party is doing with a method of light activity in my path, the specific environment where you have impossible light activity. Light that is impossible to naturally occur, but for some supernatural P.O.C. This is 325 West G Street, and that's amplified plane activity in impossible light activity, and there's no takeoff at 325 West G Street. That's P.O.C. And like right here in alignment to me is where the plane takes off. That's clear targeting. And this is clear targeting, and this is the city of Ontario sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. The demons that sound their sirens in this engineered light are sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct. The demons that are engaging in what is plane activity and helicopter activity are sharing in the pattern of conduct, clearly deviating from anywhere remotely close to where an airport is taking off with planes. And engaging in it doesn't make it look like it's acceptable. The entity is monitoring the evidence against them. The entity is surrounded with evidence speaking to what is irreconcilable about where the airport is, where planes are taking off from the airport. Why are you taking off and why are you rising in elevation at 325 West G Street? This is why they're in the specific environment. They're doing it over Woodside Senior Apartments. They're doing it over 280 North Limit Apartments. They're doing it over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. They're also doing it at 1627 West Holt Boulevard, way closer to the Ontario International Airport, where they're taking off right there. They're also doing it when I'm on Omnitrans and they're flying in alignment to me through the bus windows. They're doing it when they're flying when I am remaining at the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard as well. The entity is engaging in a P.O.C. of stalking and commercial planes, period. This is P.O.C.